Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody else in between, my name is Ashton Jean Lewis. You are tuned into the one, the only podcast that talks about the best and the worst that sports has to offer every single week. This is the Broke Boy Sports Podcast, and today, like we mentioned earlier on Twitter at FB_playbook and on Broke Boy Sports Podcast Twitter account, Broke Boy Pod, we have the one, the only Chicago's very own, soon-to-be mayor of Chicago if things go the right way. Maybe one day he'll return to his homeland. Joe George of Sports Talk 790, producer and host on Sports Talk 790. What's up, Joe, man? It's been a while since I had a chance to talk to you, man.
Yeah, man, it's been a minute, but it's good to catch up. Thank you for having me on. And, man, it's been a wild couple years, but it's nice to catch up, dude.
No doubt, man. You and I first started off at SB Nation Radio. I know you probably don't want to say their name, but I'll say it for the sake of talking of. Yeah, we started off, and Joe's the guy who taught me everything I knew. And if I'd actually listened to him, I'd probably still have a job in radio. So there's that. He's since moved on from SB Nation Radio to Sports Talk 790, which is one of the staples here in Houston. It's 790, 610, and ESPN 97.5, 790. As a matter of fact, Joe celebrating a win. He doesn't have any champagne on him right now, but he just got a huge win in the ratings battle, which in Houston is saying a lot because everybody's fighting the battle of against 610 before football season starts, right? And you got a big win, man. Your whole time slot got it done. What else did you guys pull off in that one? You guys won drive time or was it afternoons? What did I miss?
Yeah, so we won drive time. So the 3 to 7 p.m. time slot, that's like the generic way they check ratings. So we had the number one rated show this last month, and then 2 months before that. So we ended up winning the quarter, and it's really cool to not only to win, like, because I'm a uber competitive person. Not everyone cares about ratings, but I do because I want to win. It's just like playing sports. But I think for me, it says a lot about the work that myself and Adam Clanton and Adam Wexler, the work we've been putting in during this pandemic. Like, we don't have sports. We don't have the Astros and the Rockets ratings helping us out like we normally do in the summer. It's the same thing with 610. Like, they get the boost with the Texans. I was there for a year, so I got to experience that. And so it was cool to, be able to put on a product that even during a pandemic when there's no sports going on, people are finding a way to listen to you at home. And, the few people that were on the road, especially 2 months ago. So it was rewarding, I think, honestly, because it just shows that you don't need a team to help you and that you can come up with content that's like unique and just different in the way you present it. So it's awesome, man.
Now, what have you guys been turning to? Ashton and I have had MMA to help us get along these past couple of months through the quarantine. What have you guys been focusing on for your content, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, Bill O'Brien was like the gift that kept on giving, to be honest with you. Like, the beginning of the pandemic, I mean, we're like a week into sports being shut down, right? 2 weeks in, he trades DeAndre Hopkins. Like, what a gift.
Yeah.
I mean, we're sitting there like, okay, the NBA's been canceled. Now we don't know when the MLB's starting, but DeAndre Hopkins has been traded. So Hop gets traded. Then you get the NFL draft. And, a lot of it's just been – and then a lot of The Last Dance, we did pretty extensive coverage.
I was going to ask you, man. Yeah, you're a Chicago guy. And, me and Martin talked about this. Martin, for us, because I just turned 28 yesterday. For a lot of Michael Jordan's career, we just knew him as like the mythical figure of Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. And you and your family got to experience it firsthand with like the way that the way he changed the way people thought about the Chicago Bulls, man. What was it like watching The Last Dance? Did you remember any of that stuff, or was it like, did it come off differently the way you experienced it as a kid? Because of course, as a kid, you would never know the stuff that happened with like Dennis Rodman and his entire life, and Carmen Electra and like Michael Jordan fighting dudes in practice and stuff like that. What was it like being a dude from Chicago and seeing all that unfold?
Well, I mean, I turned 29 in January, so I wasn't alive when they won the first championship.
Right.
I do have pretty good memories of watching Bulls games the last 2 championships. Really, that last one I remember pretty vividly watching with my dad. But man, it was growing up, it's the story of the Bulls. It's that you're right. They're this mythical team, and to go behind the scenes It was awesome. I mean, I actually had a professor in college. Her name's Cheryl Ray Stout. She works at like the PBS station up in Chicago right now, but at the time she worked for WMVP, which is now ESPN 1000. Even Jay Mariotti, even though he's kind of a D-bag sometimes, like will tell you, she went on ESPN or WMVP 1000 and said, Michael Jordan is leaving the NBA a week before he left the NBA and a week before he came back, or like 2 days before. She broke the news before he sent that fax out that he was back in the Berto Center and was coming back to the NBA. So it's always been like hearing these stories about what the Bulls were like. It was eye-opening, and it was cool to see everything that like my dad and the people like in my hometown that like what they grew up on. It was so cool to hear like a behind the scenes conversation. Like we did different interviews every week with like beat writers, and then our last week was really cool. We had Will Perdue on, who won championships with the team the first 3 times.
Will Vanderbilt, you mean?
Yeah, and like so just like hearing him talk about Michael and the way he did was so different. It was just awesome. In all honesty, like partially because we were so deprived of sports, and it was just such this relief that like those 2 hours every week they flew by. And like with the content question that Martin, you were asking, it's like we focused a lot on that too, like every Monday, and talking about like what we were excited about, what we liked, what we didn't like, and it was honestly different. And I will say this though, I was a little disappointed. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Is that me or is it just Joe?
I think it's just me.
Sorry, hey Joe, can you repeat that one more time, man? Yeah, you kind of broke out there for a second.
You got me now?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay. I was just saying, like, I didn't really like. There was parts where, like, I didn't totally enjoy the doc. I wanted more on the Bulls, and like I appreciate all the Michael stuff, but I wanted more about like the Last Dance, getting to that championship, what it meant to the city, what it meant to Michael, and I also wish Jerry Krause was alive for the documentary, so he could defend himself in some ways and like really hear why he broke the team up.
Yeah, and it's easy to sit back here and like listen to everybody who was on the opposing side of Jerry Krause, because it seemed like it was like everybody versus Jerry for the longest, and it's easy to kind of dismiss all the horrible thing, or like all the messed up stuff that MJ did in his career, right? Like how he treated his teammates, and you can argue, and I'm not gonna lie, like you can argue like, hey man, even he has the point where he kind of breaks down and he starts crying, and you see it in his eyes, and you're just like, well, if you don't want to play that way, and then he starts crying, he's like, then don't play that way. And I'm like, maybe he kind of regrets the things that he did, but at the end of the day, it's what got him sitting in this nice house, drinking from a really nice glass, smoking whatever that was rolled up in what seemed to be a cigar, and having this conversation, because he did a lot of things in a unique way that changed the way that, I mean, honestly, man, I don't think they focus enough on the shoes at all. Like they didn't focus enough on the J's and how the ones, a shoe that literally premiered like all those years ago, is the peak of sneaker fashion to a certain degree in the world that we live in now. And I was talking about this with my friends the other day. I was like, dude, it's certain pairs of shoes that are J's that you don't wear unless it's a nice occasion, and it's got to be pretty nice. And I feel like they didn't focus on that enough. I thought they got to the root of like MJ having this constant flux of, I'm willing to do whatever it takes, unlike other people. And I reaped the rewards of it. It was wild to see pretty much every major NBA player that you've ever known be like, yeah, I played Michael Jordan one time and he smoked me. So like, that was wild just to see like the stuff with Charles Barkley, because I feel like a lot of people didn't respect. I feel like a lot of kids our age don't respect Charles as much, right? Because they see him as like the goofy dude on TNT all the time. But you forget he was a pivotal reason why the Suns were even able to get to the NBA Finals and become a great franchise. And everywhere he went, they essentially that team got better because he was there. But he was one of the few dudes that was able to stand up to MJ, even if it was just one time.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny you mentioned the Jordans. I literally have like my whole life, I would ask my parents for them. They would say no. They would say no. They'd say no. And I took that stimulus check from the government, and the first thing I did was buy a pair of Jordans because I was still
awesome.
So I bought a pair of like, they're black and gray, and it was like the first thing I did. I was like, I need some J's. I'm taking this stimulus check and I'm buying me a pair of Jordans, and I got Jordan 1s, and I was so pumped. And now I need more. Like if they got me hook, line, and sinker, I want as many as I can get.
So
yeah, man, it was Go
when
ahead,
you're
Mark.
growing up, you got Michael Jordan. Now, you're as an adult, you get Deshaun Watson, who Dabo Sweeney, of course, compared to Michael Jordan. What's it like seeing Deshaun Watson almost up close and personal?
Yeah, it's been cool. I really enjoyed following Deshaun's career so far, not just as a football player, but where he is so different than Michael Jordan is the person. Like,
Mm.
yeah, Michael has done some good things, and recently, with the Black Lives Matter movement, he stepped up big time, donated $100 million over 10 years. Like, that's awesome. But Deshaun Watson got his first game check and gave it to the cafeteria workers who lost their homes from Hurricane Harvey. And
Right.
even before I was excited, but it's just he got me hook, line, and sinker. Like this guy could pretty much do anything besides commit a serious crime, and I will always be a fan of Deshaun. And I think he's got a lot of that killer mindset that we saw with Michael. And I think the hope for if I'm Deshaun is I'm just in the early struggles that like Michael had against the bad boys, and eventually it's going to get better. I don't know if it ever will for the Texans, but it's awesome to watch him. Like the things he does, like, and you guys know that play last year when he got sandwiched and came out of it, and then there's the play when he got kicked in the face and his eye got cut up and he still threw the touchdown pass. Like only like 3 guys in the NFL can do that, and
Right.
Deshaun's like it's awesome watching him.
Yep.
Yeah, man. I was since we're talking about quarterbacks, what's up with your boy Mitch, bro?
I don't want
What's
to
up?
Trubisky. Mitch Trubisky.
I'm sorry.
Is,
You want to talk about Mitchell Trubisky? Is that what we're supposed to call?
God, Mitch Trubisky, man. I mean, what like Patrick Mahomes just got $500 million, and Mitch Trubisky has to compete against Nick Foles. Like that's where we're at. I mean, growing up a Bears fan, Mitch Trubisky was the first quarterback in my entire lifetime since I was born and before that to make a Pro Bowl. He didn't deserve to be in that Pro Bowl even. But Mitch
you don't have to tell us.
Mitch is I think Mitch Trubisky is in a bad spot because he needed to sit, I think, for 2 years in the NFL to really be ready. And one of the things Ryan Pace, the Bears GM, always talks about was his confidence. And I think he's just at this point now where he has no confidence. I don't think he has the confidence to be a good football player at this point.
I was going to say, do you think the confidence he's lost is in his coaching staff or you think it's in himself?
A little bit of both. Yeah, a little bit of both because he pushed back against Nagy last year a little bit. I mean, I think Mitch is going to start day one, especially right now with the fact that, like, I think we're going to play, like, one preseason game. So I think Mitch is going to start because they said it was going to be a battle. But at this point, like, Nick Foles, I know he knows the offense because of the coaching staff they brought in, but still he doesn't know the wide receivers. He doesn't know the exact terminology. So Mitch is going to start week 1, and it's going to be his job to lose, pretty much like Marcus Mariota last year before he lost it to Tannehill.
And to be straight up honest, Joe, like you talking about Matt Nagy, I remember being on this podcast and getting to the point in the conversation. I'm like, at what point do we stop blaming Mitch? Because we know what Mitch can and cannot do. Now we got to start questioning why coaching is not adjusting to the skill level of the players that we're dealing with.
Dude, Mitch Trubisky, Mitch ran a faster 40-yard dash than Deshaun Watson. The dude's got wheels. He should be everything people say about Lamar Jackson of what he should have been is what Mitch Trubisky is. He should be a run first quarterback because he's athletic enough to do it. Like he's legit. When he rushes for over 50 yards, he's good.
Joe, as a white guy, I really appreciate you pointing out how people have this, because it's like the existence of Josh Allen just really confuddles a lot of people's mental processing. And it's just like Josh Allen is nowhere near the passer that Lamar Jackson is.
Yeah, no, Josh Allen and Mitch Trubisky are everything that like Lamar Jackson was supposed to be with half the athleticism. So Mitch will be the day one starter, and Nagy said he should have adjusted more to the offense.
Stop calling those out routes. Stop putting those out routes.
And also stop running screens on 3rd and 9, dude. Like, what the hell are you doing? He runs the dumbest play calls. And even it's funny, Mitch Trubisky, if you watch some of his games, that dude's clutch. Like when he's got an open pocket, there's plays leading up in that. Think back, if you go back to the double doink game,
Mhm.
and you watch the throws. He makes 2 throws in a row to Allen Robinson. He makes one on the sideline that is one of the nicest balls I've ever seen from a quarterback. And that's when you go, oh, this can be a guy or the guy to lead the Bears to a Super Bowl. And then it's like everything went away. They claim that they tried to implement the full offense, and basically my view is that Matt Nagy's offense is too complicated for Mitch Trubisky. And Matt Nagy
Agreed.
was not intelligent enough to dumb it down for Mitch. So if he dumbs it down again, I still think the Bears can be good this year. But a lot of it's going to also depend on, like, they did lose Jordan Howard. They got rid of him. David Montgomery wasn't what we thought he was year one. I think he's still going to be a stud in the NFL. But they got to run the ball. And
Y'all really banking on that little dude Tariq Cohen, man. Y'all really banking on a dude like
Tariq
5'4".
I love Tariq Cohen. He is.
I would too.
He's
I do too. But I would love for him not to be on the Bears.
Try being a Texans fan.
I know. Like,
it's rough.
I feel like Tariq Cohen is part of the reason why Matt Nagy struggles. He tries to be too cute. Like, I almost wish Tariq Cohen and Cordell Patterson were not on the Bears, because he tries to come up with these gimmicks instead of just running an offense. And, like, it spends too much time on that versus making sure the offense can, like, move efficiently. And it doesn't work. And it's like one of the biggest things. Like, I love both those guys, but like I just almost wish they weren't even on the Bears, because I think they make the team worse because of their coach.
It's all good, Joe. It's all good. You're going 8 tight ends next year, baby. You're doing double tight end, inside slot receiver going to be a tight end, and your number 2 receiver is going to be a tight end. It's all good. Don't worry.
They have 9
help is on the
ends.
way.
9.
9
tight ends.
9. That's a lot of money going to. What does that look like on the pie chart? Like on the pie chart by position, it's just like that's a little too big of a slice for a group of tight ends, man. But yeah, what else? We got that going on. The Bears really struggling right now, and really honestly, when you're in a division with Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, and you're competing against the Minnesota Vikings on a regular basis, to expect, that's high level expectation with no reasoning to have those expectations. Only person in that division you should be mad at right now, Minnesota Vikings. Underachieving to a T is what the Minnesota Vikings are, without question whatsoever. I got to ask you, man, it's been difficult to stay active out here in the world, Joe. How's your jumper, man? We got to get our rematch versus Barry and Joel.
It's jumper's not good right now. The hoop by the apartment that I'm living in right now, they still haven't put it back up. I don't think they're going to put it back anytime soon. One of my biggest problems when Ashton, you and me played in that game, that pickup game, I was incredibly out of shape. I have decided that I need to fix that. I've lost like 10 lbs in the last week.
Hold on, Joe. Are you about to hit me with I'm in the best shape of my life right now?
I'm not close, but I'm by the end of 2020, I'm going to be in the best shape of my life, or at least since I played rugby in college.
Nice. What position did you play?
I was a hooker.
Okay, nice.
So I love rugby, but I'm getting back in the gym, and really just working on cardio right now. And then once the hoops come back, I will work on my jumper for you.
I appreciate that, man. By the way, this is a perfect time to bring up one of the best Instagram follows I've recently done in quarantine is the NRL League, because they are back. And it's just a bunch of hard hits and dudes running each other over, other over. I gotta like it. Shout out to rugby. So we move on here. I know you work for SportsTalk 790, which you guys, Fox affiliate, right? Fox?
Well, so it's like iHeartRadio owns Fox Sports Radio. So yeah, we carry like national Fox stuff when we're not doing live programming.
Shout out to Amy Lawrence, one of the real OGs of the game, the queen of overnights. ESPN made some big changes, man. Big radio lineup changes, and what ESPN does, whether people agree with how they cover sports or not, they are the pinnacle of our industry as a whole, and they the ones who make the stories, right? They get rid of Mike Golick, man, and there's no goodbye letter, there's no goodbye show, there's no like, hey, thanks for all your years of service kind of deal, like the send-off that we got from Mike and Mike, of course. And then they bring back Mike Greenberg, which I don't recall asking for. Do you?
No, I don't think we asked for that. I think we're still gonna get a send off. I don't think they're done yet with Trey and Mike. So I think we'll get a big Golick send off. I think at some point, Mike Golick, I met him here in Houston.
I was gonna say, man, I remember you tell me when
Yeah.
you did when you had the Super Bowl here in Houston. You had the
Yeah,
whole.
I was like the MC for getting the crowd pumped up. Rest in peace, Lucky's. They were doing
Damn.
shows. They were doing shows at Lucky's in the morning. So like I was like responsible for getting the crowd to be hyped back up when they were coming back from commercial break. And I mean, Sean Salisbury, who I work with, and obviously work with Golick at ESPN, like they're boys. So I was able to kind of break the ice a little bit with him, and he spent some time talking to me. And I think Mike Golick, probably one of the more underappreciated people in this business.
No doubt.
And he's been doing radio for 27 years. When it started in Chicago with him and Tony Bruno on ESPN 1000, and then it kind of grew from there when they brought in Greeny. And it's a bummer to see that era come to an end. And to really, my understanding is that like he tried to stay in radio. His wife said that they proposed a Greeny and Golick reunion in the afternoons, and that it was turned down.
No, sir. No, can't go back. You can't do it. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way.
Which
There's
is
no
crazy.
way you do stuff.
Well, because like it was Greeny's decision to leave, and so the fact that Golick was
Exactly.
willing to come back, and then it sounds like I think it was more up top, not necessarily Greeny. I could be wrong.
No
but
doubt.
like from what I've heard, like up top didn't want it to happen. So it's a bummer, man. And I don't think it's gonna be the last we hear of Mike Golick. I know he's scheduled to do some college football games. My guess is honestly, I bet you within the next year or as soon as his contract is up and his non-compete ends up,
FS1 got to be at his door at midnight. Whenever that dead period is over.
Dude, they hit up everybody as soon as they get let go at ESPN.
Yeah, I honestly I think he's more likely to get the Mike Golick channel on Sirius XM, and they'll build just like they have with Mad Dog and Levitard they've talked about giving him his own channel. I think Golick will get his own channel, and he'll have a show, and they'll build a lineup there on that channel, and Golick will be the superstar. I think that's kind of where he's probably headed. Or honestly, dude, I could see him just retire.
Yeah, never come back. Never have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning ever again.
Just kick those feet up. Joe George with 790. This is one of my last questions here. As somebody that's also in the business, what is your favorite sport to cover and why?
Man, it's hard not to say football, but honestly, like I love the Bears. I love the Texans. I've really fallen in love with the team my 5 years here in Houston now, and I call this place home probably permanently for the rest of my life. But it's baseball. There's just nothing like being in an empty baseball stadium before the fans get there or after, and the access you have to the clubhouse, the openness I feel like you get from the players and from the management is way different than in other sports. And guys, I just feel like it's just different. And
by the way, Joe's been in a pretty abusive relationship with his hometown team for quite some time.
Yeah, 2016 championship, man. I'd like the Cubs to be good again this year, but I'll take one title. Same amount as the Astros for the record. Yep. But
by the way, we don't say the team. We don't say that name on here because we want people to forget about what happened.
Ashton is forbidding me from talking about the Stros.
We don't.
Why?
Because we don't want people to remember. We don't want people to remember.
He thinks he'll get swept under the rug if we don't mention the fact that they did the same thing that other teams around the league did. Just better.
Honestly, the pandemic's kind of taking the pressure off them. Like, there's no fans to boo them. Like, it's kind of, people are going to forget, in all honesty.
Are they going to get beamed when there's no fans in the stands? Like, is it when it's just like the pitcher versus the batter and stuff? Like, are they still going to get beamed?
I don't think so. Because you can't afford to throw it at someone and get suspended for 5 games when it's only
I was going to say in a 60-game season. Yeah.
Like, you can't go out there and brawl with the pitcher when, first of all, they have now officially banned fighting because of the pandemic. Mm-hmm. Whatever. Wasn't banned before, apparently.
Yeah.
But you can't get suspended when you have a 60-game season. Like, it's just, you can't. So I think the Astros are going to get a pass this year. I think next year will be rough, but I think they'll get a little bit of a pass.
No, I think you overestimate the intelligence of sports fans a little, Joe.
Twitter's gonna have a field day if the Astros go through their first series and don't get at least one batter, I think, hit in the back. I think
Yeah.
Twitter will get on them for the first series, and then we'll see after that.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that for sure.
Yeah, I got one more. Your girl Sarah Spain's back on the national lineup, man. She's Chicago born and bred. Don't know
Yeah.
if you guys are actually cool, but
What's in the
I know
water
you're
in
just
Chicago?
Honestly,
a lot of
I
hate.
think I think the thing with Chicago is, I think the radio that we do is the purest form of sports talk radio, because it's not like Boston, it's not like in New York, so it's not like your closer gives up a run and your team still wins and you got a full board of phone calls. I just think it's different. Like, it's passionate, but there's just a culture of, like, really, like, just dominance from like one station, and people are, all over the place. I think so a lot of the best program directors in the country come from the Score in Chicago. That's where I spent one of my internships there. Adam Sager is the morning show producer, and my co-host on Saturday, he's from Chicago. He spent time there as an intern. So I think it's just the environment we grew up in is a little bit different, being around 2.5 sports stations, because like WGN, it's news talk, but like they were the home of the Cubs, and now they're the home of the Sox and the Blackhawks, I think. So it's always been like around us. But Sarah and I didn't have a great relationship when I interned at ESPN 1000. She's wasn't exactly nice to me because I was an intern.
Yes.
I don't really like hold a huge beef against that, because then I started having interns and I realized how annoying they are. So like, some of them are great, but some of them just like shut up and leave me alone so I could do my job. And I think I was like somewhere in between, where I was a good intern, I did good work, but sometimes I asked too many questions. So I think it's good for her. I think one of the things that our business lacks is diversity. And so it's nice to see Sarah and Freddie Coleman after her have a spotlight on that network, where, like, personally, I think ESPN's now number 2 behind Fox Sports Radio, but like Fox Sports Radio doesn't have any diversity in their lineup. They're all old white dudes.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for her, especially because like she kind of pretty much got run out of Chicago, from what I understand. So it's good to see her still getting some shine and some run. And it's funny because like Adam Clanton's my boy, like he's one of the guys I work with, and they hate each other. But
that
cool.
doesn't surprise me not one bit, because Sarah doesn't seem like the one that backs down to anybody who tries.
She doesn't back down. Like, they're almost similar in that way. So I think it's cool for her for sure, and like I definitely appreciate what she's done for this business and what she's doing. And Jason Goff, who's from Chicago, is doing some work with her too. I think he just like fills in now periodically.
Shout out to Jason.
Dude, Jason's like, he's one of the best guys in this business, like at least like talk standpoint.
Dude, like, you look at like all the guys we worked with. We're talking about like Elliot, how he's blowing up, and like he's a music DJ, right? And out in Indy, and he's like at all these events, and he's getting like all these followers coming up with all these hilarious videos. Elliot King, shout out to him, the Golden Boy is what I used to call him when he was working with us. Matt Harab, he's doing NPR and killing it on the coverage now, right?
Yeah,
that's crazy, man.
Honestly, it's funny, man. Like, going back to like, so I've been in Houston for 5 years. I spent 3 years at Gal Media, working at Yahoo Sports Radio and SB Nation Radio, and then I started locally my last 6 months, and then I got fired, let go, quote quote.
Which, by the way, if you're listening and you don't know anything about the radio game, like, that's a rite of passage. Like, everybody has to get fired.
like fired. I think I got like fired, and they were just too coward to say it, honestly. Because I think I just kind of wore out my time there and was pushing back too much against the man. That's kind of how it feels, to be honest.
Against the system, bro.
But like, I was out of work for like 2 months, worked at Sports Radio 610 for a year, and then I bounced. And then I don't know, just on the 15th, I celebrated my 1 year here at 790. So I've kind of experienced it all. And it's funny, I tell people that get fired from Gal Media that they are better off when the door kicks them in the ass as they leave. And it's not because it's a bad place to work, because honestly, it's not. Like, they paid me more there than I make here, and more than I made at 610. But like, myself and Adam Sager were there. We're now producing in top 5 market. Sean Salisbury show, he quit. He's doing the morning show on 790. The kid.
Oh man, those stories I used to hear from when I would come in for the night shift. Oh my God, man.
I mean, it's like people like leave Matt Hare, Elliott, like people like leave that
Steve
place.
Bunin.
And honestly, like it's just part of like I think it is like about like the people too, like who leave, because not everyone's been successful. Like there's been guys like my buddy Tom, like he left and he burnt those bridges and he's not in the business anymore. Like,
right.
It's all about like, just like. And honestly, it's just like luck, man. Like seriously, like I got fired from Gao. I met with the PD at 610 a week later, and then 2 months later he offered me a job because he moved Paul Gallant to the morning show from 610 at night, and the nights opened up and they changed everything. They needed a new producer. They were doing like a different format for shows, and so they brought me in to produce and co-host some stuff and just like work. And just grind, and then that's where I met Adam Clanton and Adam Wexler. Clanton was on his.
Joe, I gotta ask you, man.
Yeah.
Josh Ennis.
Yeah, so I don't really have an opinion on Josh. I met Josh at a wedding in Chicago. My buddy Ben Nance, he used to produce at 610 back in the day. He went to Columbia College Chicago with me. He and his wife now moved to Chicago, Lisa, so she could work. I think it was the Fox TV station at the time. So I met Josh when I was hammered, and so was he at Ben's wedding. And then I met him again at Radio Row in Houston, and he left and he left 790 that whole thing before I left because I got brought here by Clanton and Wex for my time at 610.
Okay, yeah.
So
I was just wondering if you,
honestly, I don't really know Josh, and like I don't really have an opinion because like honestly like he works for free now, so like I just don't really care. Like,
yeah. No, I just know he had mad beef with Paul Gallant. Like he almost got into a fight with him on Radio Row. Remember that during Super Bowl week?
Yeah, I mean, like, and like with like Josh, like now, like people ask me this all the time, like what I think about him, and like all I know about Josh is that he's on the air from 3 to 4 on 97.5, and my show is on from 3 to 4, and like all I care about is like beating him, like so, like, and honestly, like it's just. That whole thing, like, that's before my time, the whole debacle with him at 790. And even the stuff with, like, him and Clanton. Like, that's me. But, honestly, like, it's not super a popular opinion, like, probably with the people I work with. I think Josh is super talented as a host. I just think the way he approaches stuff is, like, not good for him and his brand anymore. But he do him.
I'm just saying, Josh might, like, with the kind of shit that Josh talks, he needs to hit the gym a little bit more. Like, he got to be swole to be backing up the words that he speaks out, man. That's all I'm saying. I'm not, like, making fun of his physique or anything. I'm just saying, if you're trying to invite fights from ex-NFL players, you got to be ready to throw.
That's true. You got to be ready to throw down. You got to pick and choose your battles. And when they get angry, you better be prepared to stand up.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm not picking a fight with the next NFL player. I'm 5'6". I'm saying thank you, sir.
I feel you on that.
Oh man, yeah. I just, that's all I had to add. I had to ask on that one, man. If you had any experiences with them, because everything I've ever heard, has not been pleasant. Because it's always been the worst thing that's ever happened to Josh, right? It's always been like when he's gotten fired and stuff. So I was just wondering, maybe he's a different guy or whatever. But yeah, cool, man.
We've had like very little interaction, so
appreciate you coming on the show, Joe George, producer, host. Tell the people how to find you. And where to listen to you at, man, because I know there's some people we have people like in the UK who listen to this podcast. So, cool. So they need to be able to find you online, and then on top of that, like when they can listen to you on air.
Yeah, for sure. So it's at Joe George Radio on Twitter and Instagram. I need to step on my Instagram game. I know, Ashton, it's not great, but I'm working on it. I got to focus on it. We're trying to build the Twitter followers first, and then we're going to attack Instagram second. So it's at Joe George Radio. And I produce the A-Team on SportsTalk 790, which you can listen to on the iHeartRadio app if you're not local. It's 3 to 6 p.m. And then I host a show on Saturdays called Space City Saturday. And for the most part, we're on from 12 to 2. This weekend is an exception. We're on from 10 to 12. But it's most Saturdays, 12 to 2. And then coming this football season, be on the lookout for a new a weekly Texans podcast and maybe twice a week Texans podcast that's going to be dropping as well.
Hell yeah.
Hey man, you're not gonna have a lot of fun on that one. This schedule is looking kind of rough. I'm not gonna lie to you.
4 and 12. Yeah. I'm calling it right now.
Yikes! I hope not. But if Bill O'Brien would get fired,
that's what I'm saying. That's like I know we're saying
haters,
goodbye
man.
right now. I'm just gonna put it in there quickly. I have stood by him for 7 years, whatever it is. After the 24-0 debacle and trading Hopkins, I'm off the bandwagon, and that's where I'm leaving it at, Joe.
That. Yeah,
Appreciate it.
I
Thank you for joining us, man. Joe
yeah,
George Radio on Twitter, everybody.
Oh man, hey, appreciate you, Joe. Later, man.
See you guys.
Peace out.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the man, Joe George. And
Ashton. So it just popped up on if you have the thing, it says Ashton kicked George out of the call.
Yeah.
I didn't know Skype did that.
Them from. You have to remove them from the call for them to hang up, or they have to hang up with their end. And I wanted to make sure. Yeah,
I didn't know. I didn't know it said that. That's so rude of Skype, man.
Right, like just to assume that I'm trying to kick people out. Maybe I just don't want to talk to them right now.
Exactly. What is that? But thanks, man. That was a great interview, dude. Guy from Chicago, getting to see Houston sports. I mean, he's seen some of the best and worst of the worst, literally, the past couple of years.
Straight up, man. And then I got a chance to be around Joe the night that the Cubs broke the streak. I couldn't believe it was happening when it happened, because I was just like, I'm a Houston kid, and baseball really hadn't been all that relevant in my life, even though it is a sport that got me into sports. Shout out Jeff Bagwell. But it was wild, because it was there's another guy that we used to work with too, and he still does mornings now. He used to be the overnight guy. Now he's big time and does mornings and stuff. But they talked about just all the people from Chicago and how that win changed like lives. Yeah. It was something that they literally thought they were never going to see it happen. And I was like, I know what that feels like. As a Houston fan, never thought I was going to see it happen. When the Astros won the World Series, I distinctly remember being like, asking my friend, like, hey man, you trying to go to the gym? Because I don't know like what to do with all this energy that I got right now. We went to the gym and we like legit didn't believe what happened. Yeah. And I went to sleep, woke up the next day, and I was like, they did it. They won the damn thing. They really did. And same thing with the Cubs, man. So Joe, like I said before, if I listened to half the shit that Joe told me, I would still be working as a producer in sports. So he's a great Twitter follow. You should definitely listen to his show. Adam Clanton. I think a lot of people do like Adam Clayton, and a lot of people like Wex. Wex is good people. Wex has got a lot of information, and Clanton is the hot take guy. He's a big fan of pro wrestling. So if that gives you any perspective on how he does his radio, there you go. And you just heard Joe George. He's the producer on the A Team and everything. So they got a good show there, man. Sports Talk 790 usually does have a super strong lineup, even if you don't listen to. Even if you don't listen to Joe's show, Matt Thomas is one of the best that Houston has ever seen. So that being said, we move on to a question, Martin, that we've been asking for far too long, but that's just how it goes. That's the world we live in now. And honestly, I could have said a lot of things for what's popping in quarantine, but I'll start off here. And yeah, you guessed it. It's another one that's going to bum you out. It's another one that's going to piss you off if you're a certain kind of person. What's popping in quarantine is always something that has a negative connotation for me, and I really don't know what to do about it, Martin. I know everybody wants a little positivity in their life and everything, but I just can't avoid these topics. Last week it was anti-Semitism within sports. The week before that it was more racism. The week before that it was more racism. The week before that it was racism. And this is a different kind. It's not racism this week. So
here's the thing, though, Ashton. Ignoring it is one of the reasons we're in the problems we're in today, anyways. So if I got to be the bad guy, like I said, Martin, like I said last week, I'll stop talking about it as soon as you stop doing it. Exactly. So we got what's popping in quarantine. I'll start this one off. I got senators. One senator in particular, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley. He sent an email to ESPN that was like apparently company wide. I don't know how he got that many people's emails at ESPN so easily. But then again, I guess it's a perk of being a senator. He basically sent an email addressing ESPN's quote-unquote hypocrisy for refusing to comment on the situation in China with Daryl Morey when he said free Hong Kong, especially considering the backlash that China enacted upon not only ESPN but also the NBA, which is, of course, one of ESPN's biggest partners in terms of TV rights and media markets. So for them to fan the flames would probably piss off one of their biggest money-making ventures that they have available on their platform, right? The other aspect of the email was to point out how
it's hypocritical that ESPN and the NBA are all about Black Lives Matter, but not worried about the Uyghur people, who are a group of a Muslim. What's the proper way to describe this? They are people who are basically being kept in internment camps, right? And you can get into like the deep intricacies of it, but at the root of it all, the problem is that there seems to be evidence that they're being held in internment camps for religious persecution or whatever that reason may be. You can look it up. You can have your commentary on it. I'm not really here to talk about that portion of this story. I'm here to more talk about how apparently Josh Hawley, who is a senator, which would implore me to believe that this is a man who is capable of critical thinking, right, Martin? Sure. Which may be a reach in some cases, right? He's a senator of Missouri who, in the midst of a pandemic, a global pandemic that is, like I said yesterday on the birthday AMA, is very quickly becoming a very local epidemic in the United States of America, right? In the midst of a pandemic, the senator of Missouri is more concerned about messages going on the back of NBA players' jerseys than he is about a global pandemic and trying to enact against it.
Well, it sounds a little bit like deflection, or like.
Oh, you don't say. Like an NHL hockey goalie out here blocking everything.
That's what I first thought when I read it. I was like, oh, this is what he wants to talk about.
Yeah, and the other thing that goes along with it, and I was just like thinking about out loud, like his argument is that, wow, y'all are messed up for supporting Black Lives Matter and all the protests and all the activism that's going on in the sports world. And that's across the board. But in particular, he was talking about the NBA because he saw the message about how the NBA is allowing players to have messages on the back of their jerseys. For instance, the name Breonna Taylor is on one of the WNBA players' jerseys, which is dope. And I hope a lot more people have that name written on the back of their jersey, because there's some people in this world who, quite frankly, don't know about it, right? Mm-hmm. Breonna Taylor was murdered in her house by cops that were serving a warrant. They broke into her house.
Don't call it a warrant. It was a no-knock warrant.
A no-knock warrant, which a lot of people think should be illegal, but then there's other people who are arguing like it's kind of messed up that you're forcing cops to announce their presence and all that kind of stuff. Like, no, it's really not that messed up. We can have that conversation another day. Breonna Taylor was asleep in her house. Her warrant was being served for somebody who had already been, a no-knock warrant was being served for somebody who had already been arrested and was already in custody. They broke into the house. Breonna Taylor was laying in her bed. They were like yelling instructions that they say at her at the time. They both were, by the way, not wearing police uniforms. They were in civilian clothing, serving a no-knock warrant, which, of course, is a tactic to make it seem like they're just regular people instead of giving somebody a heads up that the cops are coming, right? Mm-hmm. They break into her house. She's in her bed asleep. They shoot her 9 times, and she is now dead. She was a nurse.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say, by the way, she was an EMS, like, she was helping with COVID.
She's a nurse. And those 2 officers are still walking free. There doesn't seem to be any plan in terms of charging them with shooting of a citizen in their own home. And it begs the question of well, it doesn't even really beg the question. It just reminds you that that could be anybody.
Yep.
Cops can break into your house, shoot you while you're asleep, and get away with it.
Get away with it, yeah.
So that being said, Senator Josh Hawley sent that league-wide and that ESPN-wide email. And one of our faves, Adrian Wojnarowski, Woj himself, responded with a very simple message of fuck you. because Adrian Wojnarowski, very similar to who I'm assuming, like I said, I'm assuming Josh Hawley is a man who's capable of critical thinking, just like Adrian Wojnarowski is. He can see right through the ploy of trying to set ESPN up and try to set the NBA up to be like hypocrites when we live in a world where your concern about one issue and your ability to have an effect on one issue does not take away your concern for another or your ability to have an effect on another. The NBA has the ability to control and it has the ability to influence racism and prejudice in America with their platform, and they're choosing to do that. Same thing with ESPN. And the only thing I wanted to point out about this story is there is a U.S. senator who has been charged as part of the leadership for the state of Missouri. And somehow in the course of a global pandemic, he made time to worry about what NBA players are putting on the back of their jersey in terms of the equality. And he's also apparently, Martin, tell me if this sounds genuine, very concerned about equality in China / America's ability to fight for equality in China instead of, another place that could use some help in terms of gaining equality for all of its citizens. A place that's a lot closer to Josh Hawley.
Yeah.
So what's popping in quarantine? Senators not minding their own damn business. Go ahead, Martin.
Yeah. I mean, for me, this story, it just doesn't why? Why send one free Woj, but two, why do it? It's like you said, just because they're standing up for the Black Lives Matter doesn't mean that they're silencing or not caring about what Daryl Morey, the fucking NBA, I mean, if you go back and look at it, they took China's side. It's safe to say.
Yeah, I mean, Martin,
they took China's side.
That's another thing too. You don't have to sit here and pretend like the NBA handled that situation perfectly. Exactly. We all know what the deal was. They are a private business, and just like a lot of other places in America, they get resources, they get products, they get customers from China. The Chinese government has more control over its citizens than it does here in America, to the point where, hey, when the Chinese government tells you to wear a mask, it ain't a question.
Yeah.
It ain't a suggestion. You're lucky if they warn you about whether or not you're not wearing your mask. All the Karens you see, and this is, goddamn, getting on that tangent. All the Karens you see on all these videos all over the internet, in a different place, in a different time, like we're talking about right now, it ain't really a question, right? You get disappeared into a cell because apparently you're not down for the cause, right? And I can sit here and tell you straight up, I'm not going to pretend that I understand the intricacies of the Chinese government. I'm not going to sit here and try and simplify what their government is to the point of being that's a police state where they just tell everybody what to do and they don't really have any choices or anything, because that's not the case. You can see that from the fact that they have so many other cultural and artistic expressions that we see here in America all the time, right? Yeah. There is a gray area between absolute dictatorship and complete freedom for all citizens, no matter what, right? There's a big gap between those, and China seems to fall in between those. The NBA, straight up, didn't handle that situation very well. They were not prepared for it for many reasons, and I'm not going to sit here and try and defend the NBA in terms of how they handled the China situation, right? But I'm also not going to sit here and try and do the whole, and this is the argument that he's trying to make, is the Michael Jordan versus LeBron thing, where if you pick one side, you can't appreciate the other.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
The whole argument.
Why does he care what's going on the back of their jerseys if it's supporting I don't know, if it just doesn't make sense. Why, you even mentioned it, you're a Missouri senator. Why, there should be 1,000 other things on your plate before you think about what a private business is allowing its employees to do and when they're at work, I feel like Missouri doesn't have is there even an NBA team in fucking Missouri?
There is not.
Okay, so this guy should be worried about a lot more things than what's going on the back of NBA.
He really should.
NBA players.
He really should.
But I mean, he gave us something to talk about. So thanks for being.
Yo, shout out to Josh Howley for one of the.
Shout out for Woj also for one of the that one's gonna be
drop the mic type situation.
Yeah, that's gonna be
hey man, don't you forget Woj is a gangster dog. He'll come for you. Him and the St. Bonaventure Bonnies.
It's
where
gonna
you went
be
to school he coming for you.
It's gonna be a Saturday Night Live punchline or something, or something on Twitter. Someone's gonna call somebody out and they're just gonna be "fuck you," and it's gonna be a picture of Woj right next to him. But
fuck you, quotation Woj 2020,
but yeah,
July 2020.
I mean, dude, just seeing so many people just stand up, be Woj, because he's in the bubble too. He's. What, they suspended him?
So apparently they suspended him the week he was going to the bubble, Martin. I thought he was in there already. They said that he got suspended for, they say, 1 or 2 weeks before he got there. He already had a bunch of stuff sent to the bubble, and one of his coworkers was already there, and he's at home. So shout out to Woj. Like you said, hashtag free Woj, free my dude Woj. Everybody loves Woj. Also learned there was people out there that was like, yo, Shams is my guy, but also free Woj, bro. Like,
yeah, that's just weird. Like, why don't? And you brought it up. I didn't even think about it until you brought it up. How the hell did he get every single ESPN employee's email? Like, what the hell?
According to Dan Leberton on his show, which Joe mentioned earlier about him possibly getting an XM radio show, which would be dope because Dan Leberton is actually helped a lot. He's made a point to if it wasn't for there would not be as many people of color at ESPN if it wasn't for Dan Leberton.
Yeah.
He made a distinct point to to help Dominique Foxworth, to help Stu Gatz, who is Jewish, to help Bomani Jones, one of the biggest black voices in all of sports, to make an effort to help Mina Kimes, Pablo Torre, all those guys who are now getting promoted to bigger and better things. Like you talk about Pablo Torre taking over ESPN Daily, Mina Kimes going to be an analyst on NFL Live, one of the biggest properties that ESPN has available. And like I said before, if you find women talking deep football knowledge and scheme and strategy to be arousing, Mina Kimes has got a podcast for you that you need to subscribe to right now, and all that kind of stuff. And just really, he has made a point as a Cuban American. He's like second generation Cuban American, and he's given us one of the greatest characters that TV has ever known in Poppy. Shout out Poppy. Hopefully he's safe and at home, making sure that he doesn't catch COVID because we gonna need him. We're gonna need him to fight this battle of boredom. Shout out to Poppy and everybody who does Highly Questionable. He's made a point to help out Katie Nolan, who is one of the most prominent female voices in all of sports right now. So Dan Leberton getting his own network. I'm assuming there's gonna be a lot more of that in terms of boosting those voices, which is gonna be great. So.
Yep. So transitioning some gears here, Ashton. What's popping for me in quarantine?
You should be thankful you can even complain about a sports team playing badly.
Okay, so I don't know if you've noticed or not, or
I did.
If anybody has noticed. So Liverpool, they have come back. Before the lockdown, people were talking about them being the greatest team ever, like on some absurd levels. Like think of some of the best Barcelona teams that have happened in the past 20 years, like way back when, the best Man United teams, like when Beckham and Scholes and all them were together. Like think of all the amazing teams that you remember. People were putting these guys above them. The lockdown happens. Premier League shuts down. They literally only needed, one win when they came back? It was either one win or Man City to lose. And so they come back, they clinch it just like that. Since then, Liverpool has been atrocious. They have been fucking terrible. I had it pulled up. Like they're I think they've only won like 2 games since they've been back. Hold on, Ashley. Let me pull. I must have clicked it.
Yeah, you pull it up. I'll point this out, man.
But it's just like going from being
for everybody listening at home. No, Martin. Martin. I'm gonna tell you this right now. We mad about this right now. We mad about what looks to be Liverpool packing it in early because they already got the cup. They already got the trophy. They've already made history in terms of like what they've done offensively. They could have been they could have had the most points in most points in the Prem history, right?
Yeah, 100 points. Over 100 points. Yeah,
over 100 points, which is crazy to think about because that means you lost one. That means you lost one match and like tied maybe 3.
Yeah, in 40
or something like that.
The max is, what is it? If it's 38, whatever 38 times 3 is, that's your max that you can get. And
right.
So it's fucking, they're on pace to set it before it. Then they clinch it. And then since then, dude, it's just like, what happened? Like, if you're a team, if you're on a team and they're like telling you, yo, you could literally be up there in the history books of some of the best teams ever. I understand
but you're already a champ.
But I understand you're the champion, but like, dude, like it's
so
just...
Martin, see, Martin. Now we're seeing the downside of when you don't have a playoff, right? Now we're seeing what happens when you can win your championship with like 3 weeks left.
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks left in the season, and you don't have to play because you already won it. You've been celebrating hard as hell. You've done something that nobody ever thought was possible in Liverpool. Guess what? And you know what the really wild part about it is, Martin? It don't matter what happened these next couple games. It hasn't mattered what's happened the last couple games, because as soon as they clinched that title and they made history, the story was written, and nobody gives a damn about the context after the trophy was won.
Yeah,
right?
like the fact that Liverpool win, it's kind of like when the Cubs won for the first time in 100-something years. This is the first time Liverpool has won it in 30-something years since the Premier League's been made, whatever. But for the fact to like come out after the fact and just completely shit the bed. So like Man City beats, so they clinch it. Then Man City beats them 4-0 in the very next game. People were saying they were drunk. Like, I'm gonna give it to you, dude. If I win,
I
I'll
hope
be
they
celebrating.
were drunk.
That's what I'm saying.
I hope they were drunk, Martin. Like, what are we talking about here, man?
Yeah, they come back, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, they have won since the 4-0. They've won 2, lost 1, tied 1. So I mean, it's not that bad. But for a team that's supposed to be like the greatest ever, you shouldn't be losing to Arsenal 2-1 when Arsenal's having.
Hey man,
yikes!
Don't try and don't.
Arsenal's
do that.
ninth right now, by the way.
Yeah.
If we want to talk about someone being
shout out to Ugo Amadi, who is a football player we used to cover. I still follow him on Twitter, and he's a huge Arsenal fan. And I was like, "Yo, man, why you setting yourself up for this heartbreak?" He's like, "It's like being a Texans and Texas fan in the summer, so I'm good." Like being an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
So
like
Arsenal.
It's always this season, and then it's always next season that they're building for. After this season, you flop. Yeah.
They make too much money to ever get relegated. Like they're too good to ever get relegated. That's the thing. So
it's
that's the biggest issue. Yeah.
So what's popping for me is some of the jokes that are coming with Liverpool, and the fact that just you went from possibly being the greatest team ever to not. I mean, it's just how quick that, like, it's not, they're not even in the conversation anymore. You're just like, congrats, you won the Premier League. It's so.
Goodbye, everybody.
Like, everybody forgets.
I'm surprised they didn't just go full, like, hey, guess what? None of the starting 11 are actually going to play. All the young boys going out there and getting some time.
Yeah. And it's just been funny to see the Twitter reaction to them being bad, especially like when people have gotten so used to them. It's sort of like what we're expecting the Patriots to be this year. You know, like godly for 20 plus years, and then the first year that they come and they don't have the mojo. You know what I'm saying? They I don't know. It is what it is.
You know that last year they thought they were singing the death of the Patriots from the heavens, and still made the playoffs. And
dude, their defense is the reason this guy won our fucking fantasy league.
Oh, no question. They what was it? They scored 8 touchdowns?
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, it was wild. So we move on.
Yeah.
What's popping in quarantine for me? It was Senators not minding their damn business. For Martin, it was Liverpool sucking ass because they're drunk all the time, which they should be. They should be. Shout out to them cats, bro. Best of the best, worst of the worst. As you know, we build this show as the best and the worst that sports has to offer every single week. So I'd be remiss if we didn't do that this week, man. We had Joe George, one of the best in the game right now. And best of the best, we start off with NBA bubble life, apparently. Martin wants to do this one. I will notice that it looks like it's a lot of fun being in the bubble.
That's what I'm pretty sure we could go back and actually listen to one of the episodes, and we talked about what our expectations are going to be for the NBA once they get in the bubble. And I want to say we might have called this. We may have said the NBA and Twitter is like almost gold. Like NBA Twitter is one of the best follows, like just to be a part of, like on an outside perspective, just outside looking.
This league.
Yeah, like this, like so. Nope, I don't. Have they come out and said who the NBA Bubble Life account is on Twitter yet? Or is it still...
Yeah, by the way, you should definitely follow at NBA Bubble Life, which, by the way,
this is where I'm getting everything from. This is like...
Yeah, I think they're just following every player. Like, they're just following every player on Instagram and, like, Twitter and stuff like that, and their feed is just all the stuff that they're doing. So I will say there seems to be one area in particular that's popping. Mm-hmm. The ice baths, the ice tubs that everybody's doing, because they don't have, like, actual ice baths. they have they basically have kiddie pools with ice water in them, which is funny as
Which is
hell.
awesome to
They have
see, like
kiddie
7-foot tall centers get in these little kiddie pools to ice down, dude. It's great.
ice down, and guess what, baby? Apparently they've been holding the beers in there too, because I call them the chug tubs now. We've seen two dudes. We saw JJ Redick do it while he was in the ice tub, and Myers Leonard did one at like one of the restaurants. He also looked like he was kind of drunk in that photo.
Yeah.
He looked like he was turned all the way, like way too up. And who else did it? Somebody else chugged by the. It was
JJ
Donovan
Redick
Mitchell.
JJ Redick did one.
It was,
Donovan Mitchell's done one.
and it was Royce. It's Royce Freeman, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it's Royce Freeman, who you should follow him on Instagram. He's a good follow. His name is Rolls Royce on Instagram. But yeah, they both chugged. They both shotgun beers by the ice tub. So the ice baths is where it's at, baby. That's where the party's at.
It's the best of the best right now. Like the NBA players haven't gotten back on the. I mean, they are back on the court, but like games haven't started yet. They haven't gotten bored yet. They're trying to find things to do to stay entertained. So what do? Of course, they turn to drinking games, and it's been interesting. People have been calling out LeBron and Kevin Durant, like trying to get them to take part in it. Like it's been great just to see some of the. Or they're calling it the shotgun challenge, and there's a leaderboard. Jordan Clarkson did one apparently.
And yeah, they have it. They have that popping up. Also, you can follow WNBA Bubble Life. It's actually a lot funnier. The WNBA players are making content specifically to entertain people. That's so awesome. They're showing off like they're showing off their shoes. Like who is this? They had like the dope shoe collection that she showed off. You can follow her on Twitter at T Cooper, like T the actual drink Cooper, and she shows you her entire shoe collection that she brought to the bubble. And Jasmine Jones did the same thing. It's pretty dope. They're also doing like funny dances, and on top of that, they're revealing what jerseys they're going to be wearing. Like Breonna Stewart is going to be wearing Breonna Taylor's name on the bottom of her jersey, and to pay respect to her. Sue Bird has some limited edition Kyries that she has that are going to be pretty dope. And sad to say, we're going to be talking about the WNBA a little bit later on in this show, and it's not going to be fun, Martin. But yeah, WNBA, NBA guys, they're trying to make the best of the situation. They are at a resort, like to their credit. And supposedly, Martin, in 14 days, we'll be watching NBA basketball, baby.
Yeah,
so
it should be happening.
Yeah, we'll say this. Things have gotten weird. Zion left the bubble, which means that he'll have to come back for he also had like cramps the day that he left. He also will weird. Be he had like leg cramps in practice or something like that, but he left the bubble to go attend to a personal family matter, and that means when he comes back he'll have to be quarantined for 10 days in the hotel room. So hopefully he's going to be all right. Hopefully whoever he's going to attend to is all right as well, and hopefully it's not that court case that nobody's paying attention to that basically
that would
confirmed.
be weird. That would like say like the team lying about it, saying it's a family issue, and then it's just him having to go talk about the fact that he took money to go play at Duke.
Which, by the way, will shock no one.
Yeah, like why even hide?
Duke got a discount. Duke got a discount for how much money they made off Zion.
Like I don't know. Why hide? Especially in today's day and age. Like if it's true.
Because it's a crime, Martin. That's why they're hiding.
I don't know, dude. Everybody
they put you in basketball. They put you in basketball jail.
Legalize bagmen.
Legalize. Hey, free the bagman. Free the bagman.
That's what I'm saying.
So we move on to worst of the worst, and it is Martin. This might be an all-time worst of the worst. It might be like top 5, top 3. One we might even say. The Washington Post delivered on their promise of a groundbreaking article written about the Washington Football Club, who, goddamn. You want to talk about who's winning quarantine? The UFC dominating quarantine. Who's losing quarantine? Somehow, with a major comeback from way behind, Washington found their way to weasel their way into the absolute biggest L column of quarantine.
Yep.
And we had a situation where there was a noose found in a garage stall for a NASCAR driver.
I was going to say, we were talking Confederate flags and nooses last week, and this is worse than that.
Worst of the worst, ladies and gentlemen, goes to the Washington Football Club for 15.
I think they're hold on. I think they're actually now known as Washington's football team. Since they officially
Washington, everybody.
officially dropped their mascot, I think it's Washington's football team is like the how like they're calling themselves, I guess. But they're not really much of a football, and they're not much of a team because they yikes.
So I'll say this, and I've said it many a time on this podcast, and I think I've said it since Martin has joined here too. If you see Dan Snyder in the streets, you tell him I'm looking for him. Mm-hmm. So Dan Snyder and his boys, which, by the way, you want to talk about the skeeviest thing about this whole thing in the background. So the story is, and it's not even a story because on this podcast we believe accusers, just like you should. When somebody risk basically their life and their livelihood and their entire career to come out and tell you that they were sexually harassed in a workplace, in particular in like one of the most masculine workplaces known to man, the front office of a football team, you should believe them. The math adds up, right? The Washington R words or Washington's football team or the Washington Football Club, whatever you choose to call them by in your heart. Hopefully it's not the first one that I said. They get worse to the worst because 15 female employees have come out with sexual harassment claims, and they all collectively contributed to a giant Washington Post article where they detailed the daily sexual harassment that they had to deal with inside the team sales department, how they were told to wear tight dresses and how they were constantly having their asses slapped and being texted by higher ups in the organization about, hey, would you be okay if we dated, if we were single? Other stuff like that. There's a couple of examples where they got the lead broadcast announcer for the Washington Football Club on tape talking about an intern who's like 18 years old and how he was very like sexually attracted to her or something like that. And I think he's like 45 years older than the woman that he was talking about. And somebody took the recording of the hot mic, took it to the team organization. They deleted the file off the hard drive where they found it. They claim that it's held in the team's secret vault. Right, Martin? Secret vault of information for HR. Every single woman who was in this piece said they never came forward because they knew nothing would happen. Mm-hmm. Because they knew the HR department was not going to do anything but tell the person that they were accusing that they had been accused of sexual harassment.
Yeah.
There's other instances. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Martin.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the other instances is what we talked about earlier via text message. That shit's true, where in 2018, they had a member of their team, they had like a higher up on their team step down because he had been accused of all but pimping out the cheerleaders on the squad to the high-end sponsors for the team during a trip to Costa Rica where they did, I think it was like a nude photo shoot and bikini photo shoot for the team calendar. And they basically like these dudes, the sponsors or whatever, were allowed to come in there. Not only they were allowed to come there and to watch them take the photos, which, that's a very strange thing. That's a very strange type of. It's a weird activity to take part in. I get it. They're very attractive. They're very beautiful women. They're cheerleaders. They're in the best physical shape of their entire life. Whatever you have to say about it, but there is, when you go to a photo shoot and you know that they're going to be naked and the end photo is not going to be of them naked, but in like positions where, they get to show off their body, but not show off the bits and everything like that. Right. That is an intent to go and see a bunch of attractive women naked that did not invite you to come see them naked. Right. That is a form of harassment. Yeah. And everything if you don't believe what I'm saying, you should go read the article where they detail everything. They have text messages. They have screenshots of text messages, multiple conversations. They have people from almost every aspect of the organization. Even male employees came out and they were like, yeah, it's awkward as hell working there because they would think because the women were not in the room that it was okay to just say all the, all the stuff like, man, I wonder if her tits are fake. I wonder if, yeah, the quote unquote locker room talk when they were at work, right?
There's going to be people that hide behind this, that it was all locker room talk. It's part of the football culture. It's this and that. Look,
which by the way, That's what the point. That's what a lot of people said, and I knew they were going to jump for that immediately. They were like, "What? You want to work for a football team? You don't think they objectify women? Isn't that sad?" And I was like, "You know what? The sad part is, you associate football, a sport that does not have women involved in it on the field at all,
Yeah.
with the objectification of women."
Yeah.
It's hilarious.
Like, okay, so I saw the rumors. We all saw like days leading up to this, like what they were.
By the way, pretty much it comes off, Martin, like everybody already knew this shit was
Yeah,
happening,
that's
and they were
one
just
thing.
waiting for it to be written down. Yeah,
Everybody knew it was coming, and also, so you saw the things like the theories of what it's going to be, and then it comes out, and it's all right. It's a bunch of rich, mostly white dudes taking advantage of their position of power. I ain't fucking surprised. It's just another like color me fucking stupid, dude. Like
that's the sad part, right, Martin? None of us are surprised
like
about this
like
at all.
a rich white owner of a, like. I mean, it is like
Men in positions of power attempting to use that power to gain
attractive women's
leverage
favor.
over attractive women that they
Like,
normally would not have an opportunity.
Exactly, that's the thing. If you weren't in that position with your money, or in the position where you are with the team, you would not be in the position to see the cheerleader without her clothes on. Like, just because you're a FedEx, like that's the other thing. Like FedEx employees were part of, or like higher ups were supposedly a part of it. So like, you're like, there's a bunch of just like like, okay, so honestly, if I was, I don't know, like, it's one of those things where it's like
Martin's about to tell on himself, guys.
like, I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like I could sit here and like say, I don't know, like it's. I'm
But
not
you
trying
don't
to
know what
tell
you
on
would do
myself.
if it was like right, if it
Like
was right in front of you.
if
Right?
I had
Like
exactly, if I had money to fucking burn, would I, as a FedEx higher up, take them up on their offer to go to Costa Rica and hang out with the cheerleaders? Fuck yeah. But at the
yeah,
same
and
time,
that's the
like,
yeah.
I don't know. Like, it's one of those things.
There,
Like, it's disgusting. Like, it's disgusting to read, but at the same time, like, I don't know. It's like, dude, it's not surprising, like, at all. Like I
and there
read
was
it, and
reports. Yeah.
it's like, dude, you gotta, like, your team, like Dan Snyder apparently didn't know, which either here nor there. But at the same time, you're a team.
They claim Bruce Allen didn't know either, but one of the young ladies who one of the women who came forward also said my desk is 30 feet from where Bruce Allen's office is, and he saw me crying like almost every single day
Yeah, and it's
and
like,
never said anything.
yeah, it's like you've got like this whole scandal with the team name. Like, why would you even do something to also cause more scandal around yourself? You know, like nobody sat there and thought like, yo, paying to see this cheerleader's tits is wrong, or like maybe I shouldn't be coming to Costa Rica to watch them do a nude photo shoot. You know, like, hey, like not one of them sat there and thought like, how would this look if it comes out? You know what I'm
And you
saying?
know,
Like
Martin. Well, Martin, the whole point of this whole thing is like they have the power to prevent it from coming out, right? And that goes into the power dynamic we were mentioning before. Remember, every single one of those women did not report it to HR because they knew nothing would happen.
Yeah, exactly.
That's oppression, like, right? That's oppression of your employees, where they are in an environment that, because guess what? I know there's a bunch of dudes out there. They're going to be like, well, why didn't you just quit? And I was like, well, when you're literally trying to work on your dream job, you don't just like up and leave because I've mentioned this before. I've said this before with my mom and a lot of my other friends of color. And I was like, dude, if you left every single job that somebody said something racist or prejudicial to you, you'd never have a fucking job.
Yeah.
And if every woman, and this is the messed up part, this is the root of what we're getting at when people are talking about like oppression across the board. If every woman left a job where some dude sexually harassed her, every woman on this planet would be unemployed constantly.
Exactly.
Nobody would have a goddamn job.
That's why there's a joke right now that like any girl could create an OnlyFans. Like it's not like a sleight of hand or anything. It's a fact. And it's like what you just said. Any woman, like, it's crazy to just like sit back and think about. You know, like, And
Yeah,
especially as a white dude, like I don't have like I, I haven't had barely any struggles in my lifetime. So like just to even like sit and think, like it's just, dude, it's fucking wild.
and it goes back into, and like once again, Martin and I have said this. We reiterate it. If you're a real football fan, you know this is true. You're not surprised at all.
No.
That's the sad part, right? Like it's like I expect that from you, and that's a horrible thing. Like I'm not surprised at all that kind of stuff goes on a football team.
No.
On top of that, they're talking about people that want to sell their stock in the team, which, hey, whatever's gonna make you feel like you're doing what you need to do, man, because you've been getting money this whole time. I
Yeah.
will say the skeeviest thing that we've seen so far, the same day that they announced that they were going to change the name of the team, in the fine print, they also mentioned that 2 people were quote unquote retiring from the team. Those 2 guys are the primary focal points of this Washington Post article.
Yeah.
Multiple people came out in the article, said that they have been sexually harassed by those 2 men in particular, intentionally, constantly, right? There was moments where they were told by like sales advisors they need to wear quote unquote sexier clothes to be able to attract dudes. They were told that a lot of the women mentioned, and guess what, Martin? This is how stupid these guys are, right? 2 of them sexually harassed like reporters whose job it is to report on the team.
Yeah,
That do not work for the organization. It was a reporter from The Athletic and a reporter from The Ringer. And they sexually harassed them. They had situations where they were like, hey, like, would you think about dating me? Or something like, hey, here's like my room key. Which, by the way, happened to more than one of these women who were mentioned who came forward in this article. They said there were many times where sponsors and big time donors to the team and higher ups would be like, "Hey, we are." I think it was like during the combine when they would go down, and the big place in the combine is like this giant steakhouse where like every executive in the NFL goes, and they were smoozing and stuff like that. They are like, yeah, this is my room number. Here's a room key, all that kind of stuff. If you want to come up and hang out or whatever, naturally, what that means, if you're an adult, you know exactly what that means. That was something that happened on a regular basis. So these women were not only trying to make it in a sport that clearly has a diversity problem when it comes to like male and female employees that are involved with the sport across the board. But on top of that, they were basically being harassed every single day that they worked there. A lot of them mentioned going home crying 4 days out of the week. The other thing I want to point out about this, Martin, is none of these people were good at their job. Every single one of these dudes suck at their job.
Yeah.
And they got nerve enough to be out here trying to hit on chicks. I was like, boy, you need to be focused on figuring out how to get some of these wins.
Yeah. Like you can see where they're
yeah, I see why the team sucks. You're too busy trying to terrorize your employees to focus on like getting good offensive linemen, getting good quarterbacks in the system, finding wide receivers that are talented. And goddamn, man, dude, we almost had Maurice Smith on this show, who is a current member of the Washington Football Club right now. Yeah. He is on the team. He's one of their corners. We almost had him on this show 2 weeks ago. God damn, I'm so glad we didn't. I gotta know. I gotta know how the dude feels about this situation. He's pissed off about how the NFL is trying to take like 35% of everybody's salary for this upcoming season and hold it in escrow for the 35% that the league could lose, which, by the way, Martin, we can talk to her blue in the face about how the NFL is trying to do what the MLB did when they're like, hey, here are the imaginary losses we're going to take this year that we're assuming we're going to take. But there's no evidence behind it. We're just going to take this money.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's worst of the worst. The Washington Redskins Washington Football Club are not only a shitty football team, but apparently they're, surprise, Martin, they're also run by shitty people. So good. I'm telling you this right now. You read that article on the Washington Post. If your name is in that post and you have a penis, good luck, bro. Good luck. Good luck getting a job somewhere else.
Yeah, that's the other thing. All the people.
The jig is up. The jig is all the way up on that one, man. But yeah,
Martin, what we doing here? Like the NFL, all about image. I mean, can you imagine the story? Like, just the press they would have to like deal with if they hired one of these people that was named in it. Like a random team, like say the Oakland Raiders, like just making it up. Oakland Raiders decided to sign X scout, one of the 2 people that stepped down. Like that would be like front page news for a good week or so,
And
like, especially now.
And honestly, one of the worst things that really went down in this whole thing, multiple women in the course of this, not only were they sexually harassed, but it killed their dream of ever working in sports.
Yeah, and it's just not surprising. Like that's the for me, like the shittiest part of like the story. Like for me, it's like not surprised.
That's how little I think of you. That's how little I think of you.
Yeah,
like I know, I totally 100% believe this story. That's how little that's how little respect I have for you as a person.
Like you're telling me you're rich, you're in a position of power, and you have women that will do like that want to advance their career in just about any way possible. Oh, and by the way, they probably some of the best looking women you'll ever come across in your life. Like, I mean, just
yeah.
It is what it is. Time to move on.
Man.
We got more stuff to talk about.
Yeah, man, we really do. And hopefully, well, we got some more positive things to talk about, I think. Maybe, perhaps. What are we doing here, Martin? Which way are we going with this? I know having Joe on the show. Are we going straight into it so we can cut down the time?
Yeah, I just kind of just threw a couple of story things in there. These are just the ones that I wanted to touch.
I got media suggestions in here. Okay. And then we can get right into all that stuff right now. So media suggestions, like right off the top for the dummies that are still in the room. ESPN Daily on Tuesday. I don't know if you listen to this one, Martin. They talked to a beat reporter for the Washington Football Club for like 20 years, right? And they detailed the entire history of the name for the Washington Football Club and why it is a slur. How it started off as a term that was used between Native Americans to describe each other and then was taken by the people who hate Native Americans and then turned into a slur. You should listen to every single second of that if you don't understand why what is going on now with them changing their name is important. It is ESPN Daily. It is from 3 days ago, which would make it the Monday episode. Mm-hmm. Check it out. John Keim is the reporter on there, and it's really well done, and it is a full, detailed experience of like, hey, guess what, man? You should definitely should have changed his name years and years ago. So, yeah. Oh, my gosh, Martin. The Bill Simmons podcast just posted, and the GOAT himself, Johnny Bananas, is one of the guests.
No way.
Yeah. So I got to listen to that after the show's over. But yeah, check out ESPN Daily on Monday. That's a huge episode for a lot of people who just don't understand what's been going on. They also did a piece today on Christian Pulisic. You should listen to that.
Ooh, I'll have to listen to that one. Because he is,
for sure.
For those that haven't been watching, he is the future of American soccer, and he's been killing it right now.
No doubt. Other media suggestion, Sarah Spain has a podcast called That's What She Said, because she loves to make jokes about how soft you guys are, how soft the fragile male ego is. But Sarah talked to Patriots linebacker Brandon Copeland about he went to an Ivy League school and then made his way to the NFL, and his financial literacy his journey to financial literacy that he's been on. You should definitely check that out. What else do I got in here? This is a really good but boring one. The Hoop Collective with Brian Windhorst. He is reporting. He has Malika Andrews, who's in the bubble. Brian Windhorst, of course, is on there as well. Bobby Marks, who is all things, and Tim Bontemps is in there as well. But they talk about the bubble, like everything that's going on. And really what they do, Martin, is reveal the shenanigans that are going on when it comes to talking about players who magically weren't on the flights.
Yeah.
So, and what's going on with them. Like the coaches and personnel cannot just outwardly say like, hey, these guys are not here because of COVID-19. They'll be like, yeah, they're going to join us later. And you're like, why are they joining you later? It's like, they're going to join us later. Don't worry about it. So
like the James Harden special?
Yeah, James Harden, Russell Westbrook, Kawhi Leonard, a couple of other people too that just didn't show up initially when the whole situation broke out, and then they compared and conflated the NBA bubble to what happened in the MLS because there have been two people who have tested positive inside the NBA bubble. So yeah, it could happen.
The thing is, when they test positive in the NBA, is it different than a couple of the other sports? Because I feel like
when they get tested every single day, right? And they think they take 2 tests throughout the course of the day. The NBA has wristbands on every single player, and the wristbands calculate whether or not you've taken your temperature this morning using the thermometer that they provide to the players. and it'll let you know if you're like showing signs. They have the ring, the OAN ring or whatever, that tracks your body as like your body vitals, and it can actually predict according to science and with like 90% accuracy of like COVID symptoms before they happen, in theory. So they're catching it like almost as soon as you become an issue, they're catching it as soon as possible, as opposed to like you find out like the next day when you take your test and they give you your results.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Also, they're wearing masks everywhere. They're cleaning everything down every single day. For NBA players, they can't go into certain parts of the hotel because of other players being there.
Yeah.
So
isn't it like one floor kind of thing? Like,
yeah, one floor per team, and then even the court, they're constantly cleaning the balls, like the basketballs that are being used for practice. They're cleaning the rim and the court every single day, or really after every single event that's happening in there, because of course there are teams that are using the same court. So they're cleaning all that stuff. Players have to wear their mask when they're not on the court.
Okay.
And they're being pretty strict about it. They all sit in the same chair the entire time that they're there, all that little stuff like that. So,
okay.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. You got anything for media suggestions, or are we good?
Media, I have watched, I think, 5 different movies since the last show on Netflix and Amazon Prime, Ashton. And I've also just started a show, but or actually I talked about the show on the last one. So no, media suggestions. Dang, I can't even remember the name of the Old Guard. It's a new movie on Netflix. Yeah. It's about like they kind of like can come back to life. There are these warriors that get picked specially to come back to life, and they've been alive throughout history. It is if you like movies that kind of like I just described, like they help out throughout history and they're in trouble now type of thing. It's really well done. And I don't know, like I'm not really the biggest fan of Netflix movies because I feel like they don't really develop a lot of plot. It's almost like boom, 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 here's the ending. But this one, they did a really good job of kind of like letting a story flow and then the ending. So that's just my media thing. But I haven't been able to. But no sports related anything right now.
Definitely check out. I listened to a couple of good articles this week. One in particular, the Players Tribune article with Elena Delle Donne, which is something you definitely 100% should be listening to in some way, shape, or form. It is her talking about the fact she has Lyme disease, and the WNBA has said that she's actually good to play, so she has to play. And they're telling her that she either needs to, show up or she will not be paid.
Yeah, it's wild.
That's wild. A rough one. Reading
that story was wild. Like them deciding that she's healthy enough type of thing. It's like, are you really deciding?
She takes 65 pills a day to prevent Lyme disease from driving her insane.
Are we talking money or are we talking health? Like,
we talking money or are we talking you dying?
Yeah,
what's the deal?
I mean, you're one of our best, if not the best player in the league. We need all the numbers we can get viewership wise. I think you're healthy enough to come on down and risk, it is what it is, As long as I get my viewership numbers, I don't give a fuck.
Let's see. There's a thing that just happened in Barstool. One of their very few black people just quit on Twitter and resigned. So Trill Withers, Tyler, just resigned, and he's like, yeah, I don't want to work here anymore, which is understandable. Yeah, totally understand that.
You want to know what's weird? Since all the stuff that happened, I haven't listened to
Part of my take
yet. I haven't even I could even tell you the last episode I downloaded. Part of my take.
Honestly, man, I've been listening because I want to see if Big Cat will ever address it, and he doesn't. So
no, he's not gonna address it. But the last one I downloaded was
lost a shit ton of respect from that dude.
Yeah, June 30th was the last episode that I downloaded, and it's just like what you said. You can address it, or you can, like Dave took it head on. You can agree with we can agree with him or not. He addressed it. He said, "Look, it was a different time." Like that's the other thing. Big Cat can come out and do the exact same thing Dave did, and just be like, "Look, it was a different time. There were comedy sketches. Like hide behind it and then say, look,
honestly,
do what
yeah.
Davey said. In today's, like, basically what Portnoy said. In today's time, it is racist. Back then, it wasn't. And he's moving forward. He didn't really apologize. That's the other thing. He didn't really apologize. He's just like, look.
Yeah, Dave Portnoy is a piece of shit. So
yeah, you tune into Barstool knowing what you're expected to get. Is basically what he said. Like, you don't.
I'll tell you this much. If you want to know, so you can tell a lot about the person, about the kind of people that they attract. Look in the comment section of any tweet that Dave Portnoy puts up. In particular, the comment section of his quote unquote emergency press conference, where he did not apologize, where he said he would never surrender to the mob.
He's not going to apologize.
Yeah, because he doesn't feel bad about it. He doesn't understand, and he chooses not to. So
it was to him and a lot of other people. It was like they think it's okay that it was a different time, if that makes sense.
And on top of that, like, the shit that they were saying was just like blatant and pure racism. Like, that's never been okay. And especially in Dave's case, there's never been a time where it's okay to say the N-word like the way that he said. Yeah. So, like we said, he's a piece. Like I've said, I don't want to wrap martyrdom in my comments because I said some stuff when Travis Bruffy came on here afterwards, and I was just like, that guy's a piece of shit. I've known that for a really long time, and every black media person in sports knows that he's a shitty person. And I will tell you this: I listen to every single person who addressed the situation. The only people that they respect at Barstool are Big Cat and PFT.
Yeah.
And some of them respect KFC, but other than that, everybody else can be like, whatever, you know what I mean? So
yeah, it's interesting, but it's all like, yeah, I mean, just come out. I don't know, just come out knowing it. Like, what the hell?
Yeah,
don't be
a coward.
I just
Correct.
Lost you.
Yeah.
Hold on. Hello.
Yeah, what's up? Martin can definitely hear me.
I can hear you. I can't see you. Hello?
Do you not see my glorious face?
There we go.
I have no idea. Yeah.
That was weird.
So yeah,
you disappeared on me.
That's talking Barstool.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
So
it is, I mean,
so we got
it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. You know what to, I don't know. It goes back to the Washington thing. You know what to expect. Like, it didn't surprise me at all when that came out. And I've been a fan of theirs for a while. I've been a fan, not like a hardcore Barstool fan, but I've been a fan of Barstool for quite some time, since they were smaller than they are today, when they were just a blog site and one or two videos would come out. And so it's not surprising. Like, it's not surprising. Like, I mean, and it sucks too. It sucks, like, when like, for that to be a fan. Like, that's the other thing, when you're a fan of someone and but you don't want to like accept it, like, you want to still be a fan of theirs through it all. But, like, there's some things you can't be a fan through it all, like.
Yeah, man, I've come to reckon with, like, hey man, I respect PFT and I don't respect Big Cat, but
I would like to not do drugs with PFT. That's what I'll put that out there.
Yeah, and then of course he's like an Austin dude, so
yeah, exactly.
Maybe the chances of that. Yeah. Shout out to the Huns, his old rugby team.
Yep.
Anyway, I will say this, man. It's been a ride. There's no doubt about that. We got a couple of stories to talk about here, and most of them centered around different sports and stuff like that. We will get to the UFC nicknames because Fight Island Part 2 is coming up this week, so we got a lot to get on.
We had Part 2 last night, and if you
If
we
counting
got to see it,
Fight Night. We're counting Fight Night.
We'll call it a 0.5 because it was
Fight
good.
Island 1.5. You want to start off talking about Fight Island? How we have beef?
I mean, if you want to. I mean, we don't really have to mention these other stories that I haven't. I mean, the Kenny Stills one, I really wanted to mention because it's fucking wild.
Yeah, no doubt. Shout out to Kenny Stills for sure, man.
When you brought it up earlier, or the Breonna stuff, the Breonna Taylor stuff earlier, I was going to mention it, but just some quick hitter. I mean, the fact that he got arrested for protesting and the people that broke into her home and shot her.
Literally killed a person.
Just aren't.
Just fine.
Even if it's just like, are they even investigating it? Like, that's the stuff I want to know. Like, come on.
Hard to believe that they are.
Yeah, exactly. Another hitter. Uh, Dodgers are gonna sell seats outfitted with cutouts of their fans' faces on it. So kind of like what we've seen with Korean baseball and a couple other sports, Ashton. Uh, if one of your hometown teams offers you a chance to buy a ticket, but it's not a ticket, it's just to put your face in the seat, will you do it? No,
No,
no, didn't think
never.
so.
I would tell you this right now. You buy fandom in professional sports, and I don't need to be proving myself to be that hardcore of a fan where I give up my likeness for the sake of the team.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're gonna have to. Hey, if they want this beautiful face inside their stadium on camera, they're gonna have to pay me.
They're gonna have to show me the money.
They're gonna have to show me. You're gonna have to show me. Yeah. Anyway, man. That being said, yeah. Shout out to Kenny Stills for what he's been doing this for years at this point, right? When even when he was with the Miami Dolphins, he called out the owner of the team, and he called out the owner of the team about how he had been donating to Donald Trump's Donald Trump's campaign. Yeah, while he's sitting here, he's talking about how he cares about Black lives, and you can intimate the connection between those two different things. And it's just like there's a person who it seemed like he was calling him out and saying that he was two-faced in terms of like where he was putting his money in comparison to what he was saying, right? And he even called him out after he donated to the Black Lives Matter movement. He was just like, "Oh, look at that, a tax write-off." He quote tweeted it after it was all said and done. And Kenny Stills is not one to mince words at all. If you go to his personal website, because I went there because I wanted to try and book him to be on the show. I have not heard back from you, Kenny Stills. If you hear this, we'd love to have you on the show, bro, and talk about it. But Kenny has been very outspoken for a long time, and luckily now, I never thought I'd be able to say this, Martin. He's on a team that'll let him speak out and be an activist because of his head coach and general manager being like, "Shit, I might kneel this season, dog."
Like, which is wild.
It's
which is wild to even say. Like,
it makes it that much harder when they have to fire Bill O'Brien at the end of this season, because they're gonna go back to the old ways. You know, the one where there's a warden and there's prisoners, and you know exactly who is who. So Kenny Stills, shout out to him for always being at the forefront of it all, not doing it for the clout, not doing it for the attention, out there trying to make change in the community. Because I know at one point we mentioned on the show about how he's trying to build a connection with HPD so that they get a better understanding of the community and where the community is coming from, so that when they do show up or when officers have a chance to de-escalate, they choose that non-violent option instead of what has been happening. So Kenny has been doing a lot in the background and really has not been trying to garner attention, because you wouldn't have known about the cop thing unless you had been following like local news here in Houston. Yeah, so he did it in Miami too.
Yeah, and then one last quick hitter before we get onto the UFC. I do have a Hi, My Name Is as well if you want to get to that, but you've been knocking those out. Dude, you've been knocking those out in less than a second, so I don't even know.
All right.
No one's even enjoying it. But the last thing I did want to mention before we get to like the UFC and like knocking out the end of the show, you and I have been talking about like what are they going to do about bringing crowds back? What the fuck? Like, that's one of the biggest things. NASCAR on Wednesday had, I believe, 20,000 people in attendance in Bristol at the All-Star event. I want to think. Wait. So they were allowed to sell 30,000 tickets, but they I don't know if like an actual like total was released, but still, like, the thing is, like, all right, we've got, is that 20,000? Let's say it's 20,000 people in the stands. Like, are we following up with them? Like, how are we gonna? Are they definitely negative before they got there? And if they're positive afterwards, are we gonna say like, hey, look, this is where they got it, or are we gonna try and like sweep it under the table? But
you asking a lot of questions. You know that NASCAR didn't ask.
No, yeah, for sure. But like, it's just, I don't know, like a bunch of 20,000 people in the stands. If NASCAR can do it, the NFL is going to look at it and say we can do it. Because that's the thing. The NFL doesn't want to lose in anything. So
I'm going to tell you this right now. The Jacksonville Jaguars are talking about how they're going to be selling tickets this year. And I have to question the people who are willing to risk it all to go watch the Jags play football.
Fucking Jackson. Yeah, god damn. the fucking dumpster fire in Duval County years. But yeah,
Duval!
Dude. The London game that my dad and I went to, it was a home Jaguars game. So they kept playing all that stuff. Like, Duval, and showing what's his name, Uncle Rico's lookalike, Hunter Minshew. Uh, they kept showing like they
Yeah.
kept showing like him looking into the camera, like playing with his mustache and stuff in the jumbotron. Like I would say at least 100 times showed like the same shot of him just like stroking his face basically, and like, oh dude, it was so fucking weird. And the Texans shit on him, and it felt great, and it was a good time. I really enjoyed
What, you
the
mean the Jags suck? I would have
yeah.
never
Fuck
guessed.
the Jags. Fuck every team in
There you go.
fuck
That's talking
Indianapolis. Fuck
Jaguars.
Tennessee. Fuck Jacksonville. All right, so before we get to UFC, do you want to do Hi My Name Is?
Yeah. I got the music here queued up. 1 second here. All right, chop it up. Go ahead.
All right. Hi, my name is somebody that Ashton is not gonna guess in less than 1 second, but
Dak
I
Prescott.
nope.
Oh.
I'm a fighter.
Yo, man, if it was somebody from last night, I have no idea.
Nope.
Kamaru Usman?
No, I'm not a MMA fighter. Or during my career, I wasn't an MMA fighter. People have jokingly talked about me possibly coming back and fighting in the MMA.
Oh, man, you want to talk about Mike Tyson? Is that what we're doing?
Oh, yes, Mike Tyson. He gets it because this is why, Ashton, get this. Are you a fan of Shark Week?
Shark Week, baby.
Yeah,
Everybody's a fan of Shark Week. By the way, I think they're doing like Shark Month.
Yeah, so it's a month-long thing this year. Mike Tyson is apparently going to be fighting a shark in the water.
Yeah, they did this like, oh man, I can't remember the full details of it. There was like somebody who was gonna swim next to a shark the whole time,
Michael
and they were
Phelps.
just like in a clear. Yeah, he raced the shark, right? Like he was
Yep.
in like two different lanes or something like that. But yeah, and I think it was like a virtual shark.
Yeah,
So
they CG'd
yeah.
the shark in the water, so that's what everyone's like talking about. How's Mike Tyson gonna fight a shark? But
Also, good luck to that shark.
apparently it's already been recorded, so people are like, well, obviously the shark doesn't win and eat Mike Tyson, because we've seen Mike Tyson come out and put out those videos that say like, I'm ready to fight in the UFC. I'm ready to fight anybody. Like, who was he talking shit to? Wasn't it the Gypsy King's? Was it the Gypsy King's dad?
Oh yeah, he wanted to fight. He wanted to fight Tyson Fury's dad.
Tyson Fury's dad. So I mean, he's got that. I mean, he's got the fucking. He could come to the MMA. Like,
I'm gonna tell you right now, I saw those videos that are coming out, dog, and nobody want a part of that. It don't matter how old you are. Because Mike Tyson is very clearly crossed over into the very dangerous realm of old man strength, Martin.
Oh, 100%. You could see, like, he's got like that light, the light salt and pepper coming in, so it's like not fully gray. He's still got a little bit of the young man,
right,
in him,
right,
but
right, right.
the old souls coming through. And yeah, dude, like, and just imagine the pay-per-view of Tyson fighting in like Fight Island or something. Like, imagine if that was like their last pull. Like, here's
everybody versus Tyson on Fight Island.
Yeah,
Go.
Royal Rumble Tyson style, dude. That'd be fucking great. But speaking of UFC, man, we officially are over halfway through the first. I guess we are halfway through Fight Island, right? There's gonna be 4 fights, or is there 5 fights there?
It's three. It's three cards, right? It's technically 4, because it's the fight night this coming weekend, and the next weekend, and the August one is the big one where there's a very high potential that there's a whole new group of champions.
Oh yeah.
Because we want to talk about what happened on the first Fight Island.
Yeah, let's talk a little. What were your like biggest takeaways from Fight Island?
Oh, that boy Peter Yan is nasty. Peter Yan is a nasty boy, man. And I get it, Jose's old and everything like that, but Jose Jr., although one of the legends of the game, no matter what you say about what happened last night, a lot of people were really disturbed by how long that fight went on for. Yeah. And I was like, it's a fight, dog. It's a fight for a belt too. Peter, and the biggest thing you could take away from it is like the final round started and Peter was still bouncing around like he wasn't even tired.
Yeah,
and that's got to be a terrifying place if you're a fighter.
Yep.
You see, like, you're over here like, man, I'm kind of like sucking wind. He been hitting me up, he tuning me up a little bit. Peter's kicks were on point that night too. Jose's kicks were on point. He almost tripped Peter by booting the shit out of his front leg. Yeah. That was the only, by the way, the kicks from Jose were the only thing that saved him, right? That was the only thing that protected him from getting his ass whooped by Peter earlier in that fight. So, Peter, dominant performance. Dude deserves to be the champ. without question.
Sure.
Volkanovski versus Max Holloway. I think the whole world thought Holloway was about to get his shit back, get his belt back. Volkanovski, who I will say, after the show was over last week, I read an entire article about his rugby background, and I was like, I'm about this guy. I like him. I like him a lot. Check that out on The Athletic if you have access to that. But I like it a lot. He's a tough dude. He was a goon type guy. Went out there and got it done. Volkanovski squeaks out, and once again, we mentioned him, Martin. We talk about if you're gonna be the champ,
gotta beat him.
You gotta beat him. You can't tie him.
Yeah, I mean Volkanovski. I mean, the first fight.
You know he didn't deserve to win that fight. We all know he didn't deserve to win that fight.
The first one he deserved to win more than the second one. The first one, I mean, like the other thing is like all he did was kick Holloway's leg in the first one, to the fact that Holloway couldn't really stand on it. The second one they actually like fought, and when they actually fought, Holloway, in my eyes, was the better fighter early. Volkanovski was the better finished the fight better, but then it came down to who do you think won the third round, and if you
can
go
make an
by,
argument for either
if you
one.
go exactly, if you go by what they're supposed to judge on, which is strikes, then was it strikes, takedown, then control?
It's it's like you judge each form of attack, who's putting the most action into it, and an octagon control is like the last thing.
So
and it's so subjective, right? Like it's not even. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so basically Holloway won the striking, which technically should give him the round if that's what's judged first. But Volkanovski, for most of the third round and on, did control the octagon. But I don't know. It's just one of those like, it's that decision was subjective as fuck.
And a lot of people were understandably pissed off. I know a lot of NBA players were watching it because they were inside they were in the hotel for Damian Lillard came out. He's like, I don't know much about fighting, but I feel like that Holloway cat won it. And I'm like, yeah, that's how it goes sometimes, man. But shout out to our girl Thug Rose going out there. Jessica Andrade, they put on a great fight, bro. They really did.
5 rounds. It really should have been a 5-round fight.
Right, and Jessica was getting tuned up at the very beginning of it, and then Thug died. She was slowing down towards the end there. Jessica got back into it real quick with just a couple of strikes. It is crazy how strong that woman is, man. Yeah. She got that Chris Cyborg strength in her hands, and she's like half the size of Cyborg. That's the wild part, man. But that was one of the best fights of the entire night.
Sure.
That heavyweight Ozdemir got knocked out by a guy who didn't have a guard up. Like the confidence to walk into a fight and be like, I'm not going to actually defend any strike you throw at me. I'm just going to back up. Yeah. And that heavyweight knockout was pretty wild. I will say this, Martin. I did not realize one of the guys who was on the card was from Dagestan.
Yeah.
And he won his fight for the safety of everybody on Fight Island. So
I am not.
I saw his name and I was like, if you know anything, you should watch Real Sports, and it's on YouTube. You can watch it without having to pay for it. Don't tell anybody I told you that. But it's a whole special about Dagestan and their rise in MMA, and how they get their equivalent of the FBI to fight in the. It would be like us putting FBI agents in the UFC.
Basically.
Yeah, so that's what they do.
And I can take the last fight from here since I'm the Paige Van Zandt stand of the group. She showed up.
Man, look, she showed up. You're right.
Final fight on the contract. She showed up. She got that contract. She got the paycheck. She's gone. She can wipe the history of being in the UFC and everything that came with it is now it's done. I don't see them.
Fucking Bellator.
I don't see them re-signing her at all. I don't see why they would want to. She's 1-2 since coming back from the major injury. Just hasn't looked up to the par that I think UFC wants their women at now. If that makes sense. Like, when they brought her in, the women's game was totally different than it is
wide
now.
Open. Anybody can win in any way, shape, or form. Kind of like how the UFC used to be when it first started off. And honestly, it was because the way training was done for MMA women, they never had other women to train against.
Yeah,
they were always working against other guys. So this fighting style was like totally different when they got into the octagon with another woman, and it made it open for a lot of people to be able to go out there and get wins. And no diss to Paige. She went out there and she won those fights.
Oh yeah.
She just is not, like you said, they've kind of left her behind because there's more openings and more opportunities for talented women from all over the globe for them to get attracted to the UFC.
Yeah. And
she went up against Rebus is a beast.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, she's gonna you gotta watch out for her. She was the real deal. Even though it was an easy fight for her, you could tell by how easy she made it look how good she is. And I mean, I'll still be a fan of Paige Van Zandt. She's pretty cool. I don't know if you watched the her like pre-fight interviews or anything. Like, she's just a real cool person. And just
I listened to her
really
on I listened to her on Helwani's show. She also posted after the fight was over, her doing like a head high roundhouse kick.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was really weird.
I'm sure
people loved that.
She showed up and got to pay. Like, I texted you this. She tapped before the submission was locked in. Like, you can go.
We
back
were
and,
trying to die. Yeah.
Like she was done before the submission even got locked. Like, it is what it is. I mean, nobody won money on that fight, anyways. But the main card for Fight Island 1, I really enjoyed it. We haven't mentioned the main event yet because I don't know if you and I actually want to get.
You and I are gonna.
I don't know.
We could be here all night talking about this, man.
Look, it is what
y'all just mad. Y'all just mad. Kamaru's better than everybody. That's all I can say.
That's not it at all. I just think, look, he's a champion. He did what he needed to do to win. But as a paying customer, you have the right to complain when the product that you paid to watch is a man hugging another man and stomping on his toes. That is fighting to win the judges over, not fighting to win the fight. I'm sorry.
Martin, my point here that I will make, because we can go back and forth about this.
Oh, we could, yeah.
Jorge did not show up ready to fight the champ.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
And to his credit, it was 5 days. It was 5 days notice. That's insane to expect somebody to be ready for a championship fight and a 22-hour flight. So it wasn't even like 5 days notice and then you flew to Vegas. It was like 5 days notice, get on the flight right now.
Flyer halfway around the world. I mean, part of being the BMF with that belt title, like he had to take the fight.
Well, he's not the BMF anymore. That belongs to Kamaru Usman as well.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like,
okay, I'm glad we can agree on that, Martin. We can disagree because a lot of people hated GSP when he used to take people's souls, right? He used to grind people's soul in the dust.
There's a difference between what GSP used to do and what Usman did to Masvidal.
Well, according to the record book, it's not, because Kamaru's got the longest win streak in title defense history. So
I don't know. It just wasn't. It was like, you build Fight Island up to be this mecca, right? The entire card, even from the prelims on down, amazing fights, great fight after great fight after great fight, and then you get to the main event, and it's like you said, you could tell Jorge was not meant to be there. Jorge should not have been taken. Like, that's what sucks, because it should have been Gilbert Burns.
It should have been Gilbert Burns' opportunity to go out there, man. It really should have.
And here's the next question.
Do I think Gilbert had a chance against Kamaru? No.
Yeah. Oh.
I mean, Martin.
From what I saw, dude, I wasn't impressed.
You saw one of the best strikers in the world literally get hemmed up. Like, he was in a straitjacket the entire fight. And there's nothing he can do about it because Kamaru was just that brutal. He didn't have to bunt. He didn't have to beat his face in. He didn't have to kick him. He literally was just like, I'm going to keep you up against this fence. This is phase 1 of my attack plan. Can you stop it? And the answer, and Martin, you tell me this, at any point during that fight, did you think anything other than what happened was going to happen?
The first 30 seconds, I thought Jorge had a chance. I thought, oh shit, we're about to see a knockout. And then once it went to the floor, once it went to the floor, the first time it went down, like, okay, you can say Masvidal had great fucking defense, which he did. For somebody,
he did. He had great takedown defense because it took until like the 4th round for him to get taken down, right?
Yeah, like it was. I think he was like 8 of 17. Usman was 8 of 17 overall. So like, you got to kind of give that to Masvidal for stuffing him all the time. But like, it just, the foot stomping and the like you say, put him in a straitjacket. If that's, you won. So congrats. But at the same
That's what
time,
domination looks like. That's what it looks like when Alabama plays against the Citadel, baby.
but that's not
That's
what
what it
people.
looked like.
But you're not paying pay-per-view money to watch Alabama versus the Citadel. That's the complaint that I have.
I'm just saying, y'all complaining about seeing greatness, and I don't
Like,
see why.
if it's Alabama Clemson, and like I don't know, it wasn't a fun.
That
fight.
wasn't even Alabama and Clemson, because that would have been a competitive game.
Yeah, it just wasn't. It
And
wasn't.
I
the
hate to sit here and talk shit about Jorge because he was in a bad spot. Like, straight up, he was in a bad spot, even though he took the fight. And I think there's a lot of shitty people who were like, well, if you weren't ready, you shouldn't have taken the fight. And I was like, bitch, he taking the fight because he a fighter.
Yeah, he's a
Like,
badass motherfucker.
Yeah. I mean, well, used to be. I think he still is. He just doesn't have a belt that says it.
Yeah.
Although I did not see them hand the belt over. I feel like Kamaru went to the dressing room of Jorge and was just like, give me it. Because they brought it. I don't know if you saw it. One of his guys had it. Like, he had a case that had like a UFC belt in it. And I'm assuming that was the BMF.
Interesting.
If I was Kamaru, I would have went to the other room and been like, hey, man, I need the other one.
But here's the thing. Like, if you're Kamaru, do you really think about it's worth bragging about beating Masvidal on 6 like
No, it's not, right? Like, he can't. That was a lose-lose situation for him because he was just like, I'm already better than this guy. I knew I was better than him. He was talking mad shit about how he was going to crack his face in and all this kind of stuff like that and send him to the Shadow Realm. I know a lot of you fanboys were butthurt that Jorge didn't even get close to hurting Kamaru, even though I will say the few times that they stood up and exchange with each other, Jorge won those exchanges for the most part. And towards the end, Kamaru started really pouring it on. But, like, fact of the matter is, like, I'm gonna tell you this right now. If Jorge couldn't get through it, and Jorge is an immensely talented fighter, and to his credit, he had to drop 20 pounds in like 4 days, which is crazy to think about. But it makes me question how much of a chance Gilbert has because Gilbert's the only option now, right? Gilbert's the only option for competitiveness for Kamaru, and he's about to be like John Jones level. Without all the crazy knockouts and stuff. He just got that much dominance in him, minus the cocaine, hopefully.
Yeah.
But
the worst part is
minus the cocaine and the hit and runs and
no one's gonna buy or like tune in. Like, Usman lost viewers in his next fight.
Hey, guess what? I'll be there because I respect all forms of victory in MMA. I'll respect all forms of victory because, right, Martin? A lot of, like, Martin, let's be for real. You upset because you knew what he was trying to do the whole time, right? You understood the strategy. He stuck to the game plan, came through. Opponent had no chance against the game plan. A lot of people out here upset that he didn't get knocked out. A lot of people in here were like fans of Jorge Masvidal, and they were mad that Jorge didn't win. And I'm like, there's a lot of uneducated MMA fans that were watching that fight thinking like this is a bad fight. And I was like, you don't know what a good fight looks like.
Yeah.
You think a good fight is when somebody's getting wheeled out of the octagon because they got knocked out. Yeah. This is what domination looks like. This is what dominate a grown ass man who's the same weight as you trying to move around, and you're just like, nah, like no. Any direction he tries to go, anything he tries to do, the only thing that saved Jorge was the fact that the rounds came to an end.
It was just boring. I'm like, this. That's
what I get that. Hey.
And it's like I said at the start. Credit to him. He's the champion. Floyd Mayweather, a defensive boxer. You can say, I would say Usman is very Mayweather-like. It fights for the points more than fight. I mean, all right, you can. Mayweather had knockouts, whatever, but at the end of the day, he was a defensive counterpuncher. He wasn't an attacker. So I think that's my biggest problem. It's like you say, you go into people go into watching a fight just for the knockout. I go looking for just good entertainment. So when all you're doing for 5 rounds, 5 minutes, for 25 minutes is doing what's necessary to get points on the card. You're like, at no point did Usman try to do anything more than score points on the card. There was no pushing the pace. There was no. He was doing just enough to not get told by the referee to stand up. And like
we're just not gonna agree on this.
No, we're not. Like, it's just one of those, and it's preference. It comes down to preference. Like,
Right.
And
I just knew going into that fight, Kamaru was a wrestler, and Jorge specializes in striking, although he is very good on the ground.
yeah,
So
I just wanted it to be. It's basically just like a selfish thing. Like
you wanted some
you don't
fireworks, and
you
ain't
don't
nothing
want.
wrong with
I
that.
just don't watch fights to go. I hate when it goes to the judges. So for a fighter to just fight to win on the scorecard sucked. And the other thing is, like, Usman didn't do that against Colby Covington. He fucking whooped Colby Covington's ass for
Yeah, that was
up and
different.
down the
We
mat,
talked
dude.
about why he did that, right? We
Yeah,
talked
we
about
know.
like he was like, I'm gonna meet you at the level you think you're better than at me, and
Yeah.
then prove and remind you every step of the way that you actually aren't.
And I think
You were never even close.
that's what I
Like,
wanted Usman to do. I wanted Usman to
because
come
that's
out.
what a champion does, right? Like that's the most embarrassing thing on the face of the planet. Like
Yeah.
you're just like, well, I'm really good at shooting threes, and then the other guy like
Mhm.
goes 16 for 16, and you go like 10 for 16. It's like you're not that good at shooting threes. Like I
Yeah.
came to your level, and I'm better than you.
That's
what
what I
happened with
wanted.
Colby.
That's what I wanted from Usman. I like Jorge is the baddest motherfucker. He can knock you out in a million ways. And so I wanted Usman to come out and show that he could knock him out in 2 million ways. You know what I'm saying? Like it just didn't really. I don't know.
Materialized.
Yeah.
So we continue to talk about some MMA here. We move on to what is being called a fight night on Saturday, which means it will be free. There won't be a pay-per-view to pay for everybody to watch. So call yourself lucky on that. I think I'm on the right fight.
Yeah,
This
July 18th. Is it?
Yeah,
Benavidez?
July 18th. And,
Yep.
Yeah, it's Benavidez, who's like, goddamn, dude's been fighting for fucking ever.
Yeah.
Benavidez is on the first Ultimate Fighter, like the first TV show, The Ultimate Fighter.
Mhm. Way
So
back.
we got the first bout of the night is a heavyweight fight.
Mhm.
Carlos Boy Felipe. If you don't know how we pick, if you don't know how we pick winners for UFC bouts here, we don't care about your record because, quite frankly, if you don't have a good nickname, what chance do you have really to win anything when it comes to mixed martial arts? A good nickname is 50% of the battle.
Exactly. And for the record, we went. What was it? 3-2.
Yeah, you got 3-2 on. You almost had 4-1.
Almost.
But you technically could not pick Kamaru Usman because he has a nickname that's from another athlete. He's called Nigerian Nightmare, which is Christian Okoye from the Kansas City Chiefs.
And I couldn't pick against Paige Van Zandt. Like there's the only time I ever would ever pick against Paige Van Zandt is when she did fight the Karate Hottie.
It's
Waterman.
Karate Hottie. It's Michelle Watterson.
Watterson, yeah. So they fought and Michelle won. So, but yeah,
because
that's the only time I'll ever pick against Paige Van Zandt. But yeah, so we went
Deceptive
3-2.
name. Michelle's primary mixed martial art is not karate.
Yeah,
so
which is funny. So
Carlos Boy Felipe, and it's spelled Boy BOI.
But overall, we're now 8-4, 7-4.
Yeah, 8-4, something like that.
We're overall in like the last 4 fights record. Or something like. Yeah, if you were betting on me on my picks, you'd be making some money. That's all I'm saying.
And you picked the underdog.
Yeah.
Like you picked the biggest underdog on like 2 different cards and won off that one, so you'd actually make a lot of money.
Hell yeah.
Just some suggestions. Don't we're giving away game for free here on the Bro Boys Sports Podcast.
I don't know how much you want to bet on just
but
nicknames.
You can be rich. We broke, but you can be rich if you take these picks.
Exactly.
So we start off. The first fight of the night is a heavyweight bout. Carlos Boy Felipe, who is from Brazil. He had a long flight to Fight Island, and he is 25 years old. He is undefeated, 8-0. Okay. So shout out him. Carlos Boy Felipe, and then we have Sergey Spivak, whose nickname is the Polar Bear. And if you look at a picture of him,
I'm looking at him right now.
I want to say
he's a heavyweight too, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I want to say he fights out of Frank Mir's gym.
Okay.
So, yeah, and he is not from. Okay, he is from Moldova, the Republic of Moldova, which is crazy because I didn't know that still existed. He showed up at 238. He is 10-2, by the way. He's got 6 submissions and 4 knockouts. He's going up against the undefeated Boy.
Yep. Is
the nickname. This other guy, Arman Chusk-Ryan, does not have a nickname. He is very shredded, though. This is Davi Ramos. He's the Tasmanian Devil. Davi, the Tasmanian Devil Ramos. He is not from Tasmania. He's from Brazil. And Martin, he's a Nogueira guy. He went to Nogueira's gym. He's one of their guys. So 10-3. He's got 7 submissions on his record. So that's Davi, the Tasmanian Devil Ramos, who's fighting. Guy does not have a nickname. Amir, the Prince Albazi.
All right.
I like it. I like the flow of that. He's from London. No, he's born in Sweden, but he fights out of London. So shout out to him. 12-1. He's got 7 submissions. He's lost his only fight by a decision. So he's there. He's the 3rd fighter tonight. And this is a good one. Martin. Malcolm X Gordon.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah. He's from London, Ontario, Canada.
Okay. So London, but not brothers. Or not the same London.
Not the same London. We're both from London, but not the same London. We are same, but different, but still same. 12-3. He's most wins have come by submission. Malcolm X Gordon is his name. Nice. We got Montel Quick Jackson. Quick Jackson, who's from Milwaukee. So shout out him on that one. He's 28 years old. He is 9-1. A lot of good fighters on these undercards.
A lot. The records of the undercard is insane.
It's like combined 4 losses between the first 4 fights. Yeah. Goddamn. 9-1 on this one. 3 decisions. He's got 5 knockouts. Big money. 135 guy. 5'10", so he's got the reach in that weight class. But he's lost his only fight via decision, strangely enough. So Montel Quick Jackson is the guy who was going to be fighting, who looks to be a ginger, Brett the Pikey Johns.
The Pikey?
Yeah, and guess where he's from, Martin?
Ireland.
He's from Swansea.
Oh.
In Wales. He's from Swansea in Wales. Yeah. So
is that where the Peaky Blinders are from?
Is he?
No, the Peaky Blinders are Birmingham.
Okay. 16-2. God damn. That's a good fighter. Well, it depends. Depends on the level of competition. Hold on. Let me look at something real quick. Let me see if he's on a streak or not. He's not. He's last 5 fights, he's 3-2. He lost to Aljamain Sterling, the Funk Master. So yeah. I think that's the only other name that I recognize. The only name I recognize on his record so far. He lost to Aljamain Sterling, who's a really good UFC fighter. Joel El Fenomeno Alvarez.
Do you know? Wait, hold on. Apparently, pikey may be a slur.
Is it?
Pikey is a slang term. Wait, hold on. Pikey is a slang term which is pejorative and considered by many to be a slur. It is used mainly in the UK and Ireland to refer to people who are of the Irish traveller community, an ethnic group originating in Ireland found in Great Britain. Yeah, they're the...
This goes back to my original question. Is gypsy a slur?
Yeah, I mean...
That's what it is. That's wild. I don't know what to do. Maybe he's trying to make it a positive thing. Maybe he's like, I'm going to take this insult that people use against my people and represent.
Oh my... This is weird.
You're reading a really dark history timeline, aren't you? That's what's happening right now. You're like, holy crap! This guy is this guy a rebel soldier? Is that what the deal is?
Oh yeah, it could also be a low-ranking soldier who carries a pike. But a pike is also a derogatory term for basically the people that walk around with the wagons. Interesting.
Well, that's dark. That's a dark term here. I wonder if they're gonna say that.
Right? I wonder. I guess somebody else had to have heard that from where he's from, so it had to have been
right. Like somebody's probably called him that, like a ton. Yeah. Right? Like it has to be people who he knows that have called him.
He has to be like, yeah, that's weird.
Joel El Fenomeno Alvarez.
I like that. What is it? El Fenomeno?
El Fenomeno. It's the phenomenon, right? In English. I'm sorry. He is the phenomenal.
Okay.
So yeah, 16. That's Joel Alvarez. He's 16-2. God damn, this second card is stacked, bro. A lot of these dudes gonna be making some money tonight. Somebody gonna be going home heartbroken. A lot of these guys don't know what it's like to lose. He got 14 submissions, Martin. Yeah. 14 subs. 14 out of his 16 wins and submissions. That's crazy. Joel El Fenomeno Alvarez. Oh, this guy's name is Joseph Duffy.
Yep.
I wonder if His name is Irish Joe. It is that Joseph Duffy. I was like, is this the same one? He's from Ireland. So yeah, he's 16-4. Joseph the Irish Joe Duffy. Shout out to him. He's got 10 submissions. These guys have 26 submissions combined together for wins. He's got 16 wins. Joel has 16 wins. That should be a really good fight to watch just off the sheer numbers, right? So moving on. An American who made the 22-hour flight, Grant KGD Dawson. Is that a slur?
KGD?
KGD Dawson. Side note, he fights out of Glory MMA. If you know what that is, it's a pretty prominent gym. He's also from Nebraska.
Okay. So he's probably a wrestler.
He's 5'10", 145 pounds. He's got 15 wins and 1 loss, bro. 15 wins and 1 loss. So he's like on a 14. He has to be like on a 14-fight win streak.
Something, yeah. It's got to be something.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's
not. It's like 9. It's 6. 6-fight win streak. That's pretty good.
What's this? He's the second to last fight on the prelim, so this is like a prove it fight for him. Like he fights here, but it's at a catch weight. So what division is he fighting out of?
Oh, we don't need all those answers, but
I was gonna say like he'll be on a main card if he wins this next fight.
It's another English dude.
Yeah.
This guy's from Bristol, England. Nod Smiler Narimani.
Okay. Smiler.
His name is Smiler, not the Smiler. Smiler. Is that a slur?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. He's got 5 submissions, 5 decisions on his 12 wins.
Okay.
He's got 3 losses. He's pretty good too. God damn.
This whole card is legit.
It's a lot of dudes that like asking for a shot.
Yeah.
That's all it is. There's a lot of these dudes that's just like
when they say certain divisions are deep, this is what they mean when they when the divisions are deep, because this is the prelim. So these guys are fighting for ranks. These guys are the guys that might be ranked 10th, 9th, maybe 8th in their division, and they're fucking 12-3, 15-1. The next guy we're about to get to 6-0. The guy's fighting's 8-2, dude. Like, what is this?
Yeah, he's there's a cat on here who's got this back-to-back losing streak. The next fight after Dawson's fight, both of these guys do not have a nickname, which who gives a shit? I'm kidding. They're like you said, the guy who's 6-0 is Romain Doladiz is his name. He is from Georgia, the country Georgia, not the state. They're both light heavyweights. So his birthday, July 15th. Boom.
Wow.
Shout out to him. Happy birthday.
I wonder who hopefully he remains undefeated. Support.
Yeah, no, and we got 2 undefeated fighters so far in this one, right? 2 undefeated fighters. The first fight had 1 guy. So we move on to the next fight. Askar Bullet Askarov.
Yeah. His name's funny.
No. Martin, it's already decided. This guy wins. Look where he's from.
Is it Dagestan?
Yeah. And guess what? He's 11-0. Yeah. People know what time it is. He's from the Fighting Eagle gym. Of course he is. That's the premier Dagestan MMA gym. So yeah, he 11-0 with 1 draw. I wonder what happened to that dude he got into a draw with. Must have been another Dagestan fighter.
What's his
his name is Bullet.
Bullet?
He's letting it be known up front. Askar Bullet Askarov. He is undefeated in terms of he has never lost. He's got 1 draw and 11 wins. He's got 7 submission wins. He is from Dagestan, and I'm assuming he's going to win that fight.
Yeah.
He's fighting Alexandra the Cannibal Pantoja. God damn, Martin. Oh, man, that's a good one. Alexandre the Cannibal Pantoja.
Okay, here's the thing. If I didn't know he was fighting a former FBI agent from Dagestan, I would pick the Cannibal in a fucking heartbeat. But
his fate has already been decided.
Yeah, the only thing you're eating tonight. Dude,
and then
you
what makes it even worse, Martin. He's 22-4.
Yeah.
He's still gonna take that L.
He's taking it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. You're sorry, dude. Just look at Askar. Look at his profile picture, the picture that they use for him, dude. He just looks like he's gonna have to fucking. He is about no business except whooping fucking ass.
There you go. Alexandre the Cannibal Pantoja is more than likely slated to lose to the Bullet. So yeah, move on. This is a women fight here. Luana Dread Carolina.
Okay.
Is her name. She's from São Paulo, Brazil, and she is 6-1. Shout out to her. She's won most of her fights off decision, 3 fights to be precise. So she's 6-1, and she is fighting Ariane Violence Queen Lipski.
Ooh,
So that's creative.
Violence Queen.
She's also from Brazil. Maybe they were on the same flight. I feel like they were probably on the same flight, which is weird. They are 12 she's 12-5, with 6 wins.
Ariane Lipski.
So, yeah, Ariane Violence Queen Lipski.
Okay.
We move on to the next fight. This is Rafael Ataman Faizi.
Okay.
He's from Kyrgyzstan. Not Dagestan. 7-1, 5 knockouts.
Okay.
We got Mark Bone Crusher Dayaski.
Ooh.
Diakis.
Bone.
He is from, guess where he's from? South Yorkshire, England.
Nice.
Doncaster. South
We got
Yorkshire.
a couple of Brits fighting on this one.
A lot of Brits. 14-3. He's American top team too, so he's pretty good.
Yeah.
His nickname is Bone Crusher, which is like the most stereotypical MMA nickname of all time.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, this is a good one. Jack the Joker Hermansson.
Nice.
Jack the Joker Hermansson from Sweden.
I like it.
Don't recognize his gym. He's 20-5. And a lot of God damn, there's a lot of good fighters on this card. He's 32 years old. I think he's the oldest fighter on here. And then of course, he doesn't have a nickname, but he's probably gonna be straight up. He's probably gonna win this fight. Kevin Gastelum, who's from Yuma, Arizona. He's one of the best in the game. If he could, he's one of your brethren, Martin. He just can't. He really struggles with the blood test. Struggles with the drug test.
He's a
15-5.
You saying he's a marijuana advocate?
Yeah, he's a big fan. He's also done what is considered to be the cardinal sin in MMA and miss weight multiple times. So he's been forced to change weight classes. By the way, most famously, what popped off his career, he was able to put a stop to Uriah Hall on his immediate rise to becoming a UFC star because he stopped him from winning that season of The Ultimate Fighter. They fought each other in the finale. Kevin Gastelum won a massive upset, and both of them got a contract to be in the UFC. And Kevin Gastelum,
because that's how good what's his face was. Like he was guaranteed.
Yeah, Uriah Hall was not to be denied.
Uriah was getting one no matter what. He was like the Paige Van Zandt of the guy side of things. Like the typical look of what the UFC wanted their fighters to look like and be successful.
And he was a home run hitter. He was hurting dudes in the house. 15-5 and
no nickname,
6. Wait, no nickname doesn't count. Kevin Gastelum's probably going to win that fight. I would suggest not picking him, but that's just me.
Well, I can't pick
Joseph Benavidez, a legend of the game, 28-6. He's a Team Alpha Male guy. He's from Sacramento, California. He does not have a nickname, so he is not eligible for our little competition here. But Devinson Daiso Deuce de Figueiredo does have a nickname, and I just said it. It was Daiko Deuce de Guerrera, which I'm assuming is pretty cool. I don't know. You tell me. I'm just here to read the nicknames, Martin. I'm not a wise man. I'm not a smart man. So he's from Brazil, 32 years old, so he's getting pretty close to his prime here. But he's 18-1, 9 knockouts. I haven't seen him fight in quite some time, to be honest with you. I can't remember the last fight that I saw from Devinson. So
it translates to the God of War. Give me all of it.
Yes. There we go. That's one pick. What else you got, Martin? You got you're doing two?
Hold on. No, hold on. We're let me just get back to where I was.
Martin has his running list.
Yeah, I have a little list. Okay, so we went with 5 last week, but that was because of it was a special.
Yeah, it was a special occasion. It was special occasion for Fight Night. Fight Island.
Let's do 4 this week.
Okay, Martin putting it all on the line.
Well, there's a couple of fights that a couple of people don't have nicknames, which sucks. There's so many good record fights that it's gonna be tough to pick it 4 against any of these anyways. But okay, so here we go. My first one is on the preliminary card because I really like this one. Davi, the Tasmanian Devil Ramos.
Ah, yes, Nogueira's guy.
Yeah.
Not a bad pick for sure,
Yep.
especially if you know Nogueira. He was a good fighter back in the day.
So we're gonna go with the Tasmanian Devil, just because I mean that's kind of a cool name. It's like you were saying, somebody else has got one of those like generic names that everybody uses. Tasmanian Devil is not really like a that means you better go in there and throw 500 punches within
Right.
the first 2 rounds. Like,
You better keep it moving. You better
yeah, you
keep it
better
moving.
not stop.
Martin just spent 15 minutes complaining about a slow ass fight. He's here for whoever is
Yes,
trying
dude.
to whoever's trying to risk it all in round
I'm
one.
not trying to see the huggers. I want the home run hitters. You know what I'm saying? So second on the list, we are gonna go with he's probably the biggest favorite, right? I didn't see the odds, but Askar Bullet Askarov. Uh, he is like
Oh man,
what did
yeah,
you
you're
say?
gonna go
He's
for the layup and pick the Dagestan fighter.
yeah.
Oh wow,
Look, I got
I thought better of you, Martin, but
gotta
I guess not.
I gotta get one. You can't pick against them, man. You might end up dead. So then also we've got Ariane Violence Queen Lipsky. That one is a fucking great name. Uh,
Actually, Pendoja is the biggest favorite on that one. He's minus
really
2. You can get him for minus 205 somewhere. Yeah, I
interesting.
think he might be the biggest. Oh no, the biggest one is Grant Dawson.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
no,
I
he
would have thought
yeah, you can
Askar
get him
was
for minus 205. There you go.
okay. Well, anyway, so yeah, Ariane Lipsky, her Violence Queen. That is a fucking great name for a lady fighter. Um, And then last but not least, you almost have to pick a co-main event or a main event, since two of them don't have names in the co-main event and main event.
Yeah.
I'm going with the fucking God of War,
The
because
God of War.
that's probably of all the names we've picked, of like you've made me pick recently, that one is that's fucking that's like a home run right there. Like
You didn't
God
want to
of
go with a
War,
guy who has a slur as his name?
nah. I want to. We gotta check on that. But that's like
Yeah,
that
like
dude's
I
actually.
need more information on that.
Yeah, that's fucking. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
That is pretty wild. Trying to see here. It looks like one of these fights may be screwed.
What happened?
Um, they pulled the odds for one of the fights, which makes me think that somebody tested positive. Uh, it doesn't look. I don't see anything. Uh, Doug Rose was on the Hawani show, and she looks like she's still recovering from that fight quite a bit. But yeah, I don't see anything. I thought it was gonna. No, I guess they just haven't put odds up for it yet. Whatever. Anything else, Martin?
No.
So,
Another
oh yeah, my
solid
bad.
episode.
Go over your picks again. Go over your
Oh,
picks.
one more time. That Tasmanian Devil, Bullet, Violence Queen, and the God of War. We are gonna be. We're gonna be really big fans of the God of War. Hope of all the names that I want to come through of this week. I hope God of War stands up to it.
God of War for the win. We got. That is all I got here, sports
Yeah,
wise, man.
we knocked it
We
out
are
of the
in a
park.
weird holding. By the way, Martin, training camp starts for the NFL in less than 48 hours.
Yeah, the rookies are supposed to report soon.
Anybody got any idea what the NFL is going to do about the global pandemic going on around? No, just me. That's confused. Okay, just making sure. They're supposed to be reporting for testing. They did not say whether or not that testing is supposed to have any if they're going to actually practice. They said they're reporting for testing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Good luck to all those guys. Have
Yeah,
fun.
it's gonna be interesting. Like, cause didn't JJ Watt put out like a thing saying like there's literally been no protocols, even like
Yeah. JJ Watt had a whole series. He sent out a tweet. You should probably go check it out
yeah,
on his Twitter account. But it's like there's no response like in terms of, hey, these are the protocols that we're gonna have inside the building. Here is when you're gonna get tested, what time you're gonna get tested, if you're gonna get tested like daily, semi-daily, what the situation is gonna be about the facilities getting clean on a regular basis. It seems like they're just gonna have them walk into the building and see who gets it, and then deal with whoever gets it.
yeah. It's gonna be like yeah, exactly. It's just gonna be like a case by case basis, and just if you know
Well,
you get it, and move.
way
You
way
don't.
to end the show.
Yeah.
Way to end the show on the downer, talking about the NFL
No,
and
no,
their
no,
lack
not a
of
downer. We've
response.
got more UFC fights. We got July 30th, I believe, right around the corner. So our next episode, Ashton, we will technically be previewing, or not previewing, but we will be just about to be tipping off for the NBA season, which you know of all the sports that we've been waiting to come back, this one's like do I want to say the most important or the most cared about? Like the NBA championship's probably like,
It's gonna be the first. It's gonna be the first of the big three that comes back.
yeah, like because I mean, when the season ended, it was the Lakers and LeBron. They were storming. You've got Giannis, of course. You've got the fucking Rockets fucking around. You've got Zion somehow on the outside looking in, and the NBA doing everything they can to get him into the playoffs and everything, dude. It's
And
it
Martin,
is what it is.
there is one more topic we need to talk about.
What's that?
America's true favorite sport. The Challenge crowned a champion last night.
Oh yeah, we were recording during a very important time of your viewership or viewing. Who won?
Congratulations to the legend, Johnny Bananas.
There you go.
That motherfucker did it. He did it again. He did it again, ladies and gentlemen. Johnny Bananas, champion of the challenge, yet again. He had a huge drought from the last time he had won, because the last time he won was like major bad karma. They was like $500,000 up for grabs, and he could have split it with his teammate, and he chose not to. So it's like major bad karma points. So she did all the trials, all the workouts, all the tests and everything like that. They were in a mountain, and they had to climb a mountain to get to the end of the challenge. And he took all the money because he finished with a quicker time than she did. Other thing to go along with this, shout out to Jenny, who is the personal trainer, the personal fitness trainer, who almost screwed it up at one point throughout the course of the challenge. She tried to make like a big political move to throw somebody into elimination. And in the course of that, like a bunch of people called her out, but they decided to go with some different votes. She made it to the final, dominated in the final, like a lot of people thought she would, because she is a personal trainer. So she's naturally physically more capable than even the dudes on the show. The guy who dominated the back half of the regular season, the daily challenges, finished in like third place or something like that. But it was winner take all. So Johnny Bananas went out there and got that money. And he transcends to legendary GOAT status, more than Wes, more than Daryl, he won 6 in a row. Daryl did. So shout out to the legend Johnny Bananas on another good season of the challenge, and they survived. D being a bad person and having to edit her out of the show to put on another dope piece of dope final. Even though they rushed it, it was still pretty cool to watch. They had him in a mountain, and they were like, "Hey, carry these logs 3 miles to these pits, and then light the pits on fire. If you finish in last place, you're eliminated." So they did a bunch of other stuff too. But anyway, that was cool stuff. Check out the challenge. Really good season overall. The reunion episode is next week, and that's when they talk all the shit about everything that happened inside the bunker.
I love the reunion episodes of anything.
I just wish they were uncensored, man. I really wish they were uncensored.
Or like they actually did it live and not like cut it up piece by piece, you know? Like,
hey, I'm telling you right now, these people are so despicable. You have no idea what's going to come out of their mouths. So hopefully they give a preview of what's going to be happening in season 36. I'm assuming Johnny will be back and trying to win another one, but hopefully Wes will come back as well. That'll be a good one. But yeah, that's all I got, man. What else you got? Anything else?
That's it, man. Got to give a shout out to Joe coming on.
Shout out Joe George, my guy.
Yeah, that was awesome. Learning about his story. Chicago, Houston. He's kind of had a wild roller coaster of a ride as a fan throughout his life. I guess you could say. So thanks.
No doubt, he's he's gone from one major market to another to Houston, and been calling it home here. That guy deserves everything that he gets. He's a hard worker. He always finds his way onto the mic to talk about sports.
Yep. But thank you for him coming along. Thank you, Ashton. These past 2 nights, your AMA, and then today, we've been killing it. We've been doing some awesome work. Looking forward to next week and beyond.
No doubt, man. We'll be back next week, next Thursday. Check y'all then. Only one thing left to say. Make sure you keep washing your hands. Wash your whole body. Do me a favor and wash your whole body, but in particular your hands. Wear your mask. And one thing. Stay home, Roger.